All right, well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Joey Clark and I am the program manager for the NSIN STARTS program. We connect military leaders to solutions to their pressing problems through early stage solutions. It is my honor to help host this event with our colleagues at NGA as they look to focus on how to solve some of their technology priorities. Our partners at NGA have been extremely genuine in wanting to expand their efforts in the diversity, equity, and inclusion arena, and we are proud to help them with that. Today, you will hear from stakeholders and experts interested in NGA's mission, along with others who are interested in expanding the DEI landscape and tech focus areas. I'm going to turn it over to our friend Christine Woodward, who is our NGA counterpart, who has been at the genesis of this event and will help us start off. So take it away, Christine.
All right, thank you, Joey, and good morning from the snowy St. Louis region. I don't know how many folks online are from St. Louis, but I have basset hounds and it's up to the belly of one of my basset hounds, so about 3 inches, so far and counting. So on behalf of the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency, I would like to welcome you all to today's Small Business Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Technology Showcase. As Joey said, the showcase is brought to you through a partnership between NGA and the National Security and Innovation Network, which we lovingly refer to as NSIN, through their STARTS program. I want to provide a special thanks to NSIN, especially Joey Clark and his team for pulling together this amazing program to promote inclusive growth in the geospatial marketplace while examining how diversity of thought and inclusiveness can ensure the future of national security. NGA, as you know, delivers world-class geospatial intelligence that provides a decisive advantage to policymakers, warfighters, intelligence professionals, and first responders. NGA recognizes the important role small disadvantaged, women-owned, hubs-owned, veteran-owned, and service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses will increasingly play in advancing capabilities and innovation for NGA and DoD in support of the warfighter and national security. Through the program today, we're providing 8 small businesses an opportunity to showcase their own unique approach to advancing geospatial technology and expertise. These companies applied and were selected from many applicants by NGA and NSIN to present today for their not only their diversity of thought, but also their diversity and their perspective. We'll also hear from a series of keynote speakers and a panel to highlight both NGA's desire to support small businesses through enhanced DEI efforts in the geospatial ecosystem, and to highlight why DEI is integral to NGA accomplishing mission today and mission tomorrow. So again, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. This is something that has been quite a passion project for all of us that have been involved, and we're all very proud to bring you this program. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our first keynote speaker of the day, Nicole Washington. Nicole is a senior executive and entrepreneur who came to NGA just last year, and she has over 20 years of experience in strategic planning, systems design and implementation and programming for academia, industry, and government. And with her engineering research background, she has been an IT management consultant for local and national firms. More recently, Ms. Washington worked as the Director of Innovation and Growth for a company in Southern California as a senior advisor for community engagement for that company. Nicole set up an infrastructure to assist women and other underrepresented tech and medtech CEOs by giving them access to an elite network of resources and mentors. Nicole has served as a trustee for an angel investor association and has served on other distinguished and impactful nonprofit boards. She has spent over a decade as a member of one of the largest angel investing funds in the country, providing her with an investor's perspective. This, coupled with her entrepreneurial skills as the founder of not one, but 2 companies, provides her with unique insight as she embarks upon her new role at NGA. It's not often that we have someone come to NGA with that type of experience, so we're really excited to have her on board. And in her role as NGA Research's Chief Transformation Officer, Nicole is seeking to connect technology, government, and venture capital to provide innovative technical solutions for national security challenges. And with that, thank you again for joining us. And Nicole, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, NSIN, for working with us to present the STARTS NGA Small Business Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Showcase. This initiative is very important to us. Showcase participants, you are important to us. You were chosen not only because you've met one of the classifications for being a small business. The selection team also considered the impact of your solution, the feasibility of your technology. They considered the potential for your technology to be used in commercial and in government applications. And they also considered the likelihood for you to receive continued sponsorship for engagement. So whether you are a company that teaches the foundational skills of programming to the next generation GEOINT workforce, or you are launching your own satellites, you are important to the geospatial ecosystem. And I join my colleagues in welcoming you to the Small Business DE&I Showcase. So what does it mean to be part of the geospatial ecosystem? Let me answer that by telling you a little bit about what NGA means to the world. It means you are part of the human and political geography infrastructure that has been responsible for 12 million geographic names. NGA uses different types of gravity records to support billions of GPS users daily. We are responsible for the navigation elements that support 48,000 airfields and automated air facilities intelligence file. We are responsible for mapping the Earth and its 1.3 billion features, and we enable mariners to safely traverse the sea by providing 17,000 broadcast warnings and notices annually. As you can see, we know the Earth, and we use that knowledge to not only show the way, but to understand the world. It is vital that we understand the world if we are to complete our mission. Our mission is related to the things we need today, like humanitarian and disaster relief, assessing the flooding that occurred with Hurricane Irma, or the flooding in Mozambique, wildfire mitigation support, tropical cyclone path tracking. In all of these instances, we supply valuable information to decision makers, to first responders, to the warfighter or armed services, as some of us call them. We provide this information so that they can make timely decisions that are needed to save lives. Our mission is also related to those things that may not be seen as immediate needs, but are needs nonetheless. I'd like to highlight a very important part of our mission tomorrow, as we call it, and that is the new state-of-the-art facilities we are building in St. Louis. You may hear more about these efforts throughout the day, but allow me to point out the very important feature, which is a mix of our classified and unclassified space in this facility. This unique combination of physical space will enable us to further our efforts with those in industry, like yourselves, for example. So NGA has been doing all of this important work for many, many years. It has not just begun. Then why are we engaging you, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, at this time? Why are we engaging a diverse group of entrepreneurs and innovators in this showcase? It is no secret that many parts of the intelligence community is not as diverse as it should be. In fact, the leaders of the intelligence community had a recent hearing before Congress about this very issue. And though the discussion lends itself to be a little more extensive than we have time for today, I will leave you with 3 important reasons why we are intentionally focusing on diversity with this initiative. NGA does all of these important things that you heard me speak about on behalf of the people of the United States, the taxpayers. It is important for our workforce and our partners to reflect the people we serve. That is one of the ways we can be sure we include the different perspectives represented by those we serve. Study after study shows the benefits of creating diverse teams. Diverse teams have diverse perspectives. Diverse perspectives are important to solving problems. And finally, we are clearly in the middle of some unprecedented challenges. Today, we are faced not only with threats that can disrupt our way of life, like marine safety and pollution or urbanization, we are also faced with things that can eliminate our way of life. Things like water scarcity, energy security, cybersecurity. Therefore, I contend to you, we need unprecedented solutions. So, we are building unprecedented teams. Teams that look very different, think different. Teams that are educated differently. Teams made of people who have had different experiences. Look, we understand that building these unprecedented teams may require us to do some work. We may have to search for those who have the capabilities that can be used to solve some of these problems. To the extent that we cannot find these capabilities in the broader sections of our society, we may need to partner with others to help build them. One thing is sure, our country is very fortunate to have a diverse array of citizens that make up the very fabric of our society. Now we have to make sure those citizens are equipped with the knowledge, the tools, and the opportunities to contribute. That's part of what this event is all about. In the IC in particular, I can tell you unequivocally, it is among DE&I Avril Haines' highest priority to have a more diverse, inclusive, and equitable intelligence community. She knows that our ability to understand the world is correlated to having a workforce that reflects the world. Welcome again. We are excited to engage with each of you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicole, and thank you very much, Christine. We really appreciate your thoughts on how this event is furthering NGA's priorities. So now, to the point where you all have been waiting for, we are going to hear from some of our companies and technologies. Our companies will have 12 minutes to present, and they will also get a kind of time warning at 1 o'clock. If they kind of continue to go past that point, I will kind of graciously and kindly kind of cut them off. So we want to make sure that we keep on time. So the first company we have up is Skyline Nav AI. We're going to take a short break and put them up. So take it away.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kanwar Singh, and I have the pleasure of representing Skyline Nav AI at this event. I want to thank NSIN for the opportunity to present. Let me talk about our company's focus. We focus on providing position and navigation in a GPS-degraded, denied, spoofed environment. We can also identify the location of an image or video. And finally, we can improve the accuracy of GPS by eliminating bound signals. Let me tell you more about the problem statement. Imagine you're a soldier conducting patrol or reconnaissance, and suddenly you lose your GPS connection. Over the past 2 years, we've conducted over 150 customer discovery interviews, and we've had all kinds of people tell us about this problem. There's one quote that struck out, and that was from a former SOCOM officer who said, and I quote, "We lean too heavily on GPS and don't have a good backup system to augment it." This is why we're so passionate about this problem. It's really easy to buy GPS jammers online. You can get these devices and actually start blocking and jamming GPS around you. There's some case studies you can find on our website of where that's happened, not just overseas, but also here in the US. And the issue is not just limited to GPS jamming. We also know solar storms, which happen more often than we realize, can actually start damaging our GPS satellite connectivity. The last major solar storm happened in 1918, and that took out GPS connectivity and telegraphy equipment in places like New York and other places. And in addition to solar storm, there's also a threat with cybersecurity. Our near-peer threats and adversaries can knock out our GPS satellites that will have a significant impact on the viability and well-being of our economy. There was an interesting case study that happened a few years ago where a video was floating around of a potential atrocity and genocide that was being committed, but people were not sure where that video was taken. And it took BBC's investigative arm several months to identify the man-made and natural features in that video and then pinpoint specifically where that video was taken. If they had a technology like ours using visual navigation and being able to identify man-made and natural features and comparing them against a digital surface model data sets, which I'll talk about in a second, perhaps they would have been able to do this far quicker. And the people who carried out these atrocities would have been brought to justice far sooner than that. We also know that the White House, Department of Transportation, realized that this is a problem, and there have been numerous white papers and reports written on it, and there is more funding that's being made available to these alternatives. However, the alternatives that exist today are not as reliable, precise, and accurate as we believe our technology can be. So before I get into technology, I want to talk about our team. So it includes myself and my colleagues, Rajiv Surati and Chris Burrell. We also have two advisors, Rob Nicholson and Tony Marash. Dr. Chris Burrell was the lead inventor of this technology at the Army Research Lab, and then we've actually been able to license that technology for specific use cases through our company. I am also an officer in the Massachusetts Army National Guard, signal officer, and extremely passionate about this problem because I know this technology and solving for this can save people's lives, both in combat and also here at home. My colleague Raj Surati has extensive background as a software entrepreneur, having sold numerous companies, and then he also has academic background at MIT. In addition to having formed this company, we've gone through the NSIN-sponsored FedTech Defense Innovation Accelerator Program. We are currently in the Decode Vector program, and we have partnerships with MIT and Draper Labs. We've had some customers lined up to include AFWorks. We've gotten their phase 1 funding in the past, and we're in the process of bidding for phase 2 funding and beyond. Our team has also gone through National Science Foundation's I-Core program, through which we did over 100 customer discovery interviews this past summer. Now, let's talk about the technology and how this works. So if you were to be in a situation where your GPS is suddenly unavailable, you would be able to take a simple 360 image. And then from that image, we would be able to parse out natural and man-made features and compare those against LiDAR data sets, which are called digital surface models, DSMs. As you can see in the image, the red line is the parsed out outline of the buildings around you, as an example. This technology also operates in rural areas and other suburban areas where you have other natural and man-made features. Now, this is a problem that is particularly unique in urban areas, but there are certainly pockets in rural and suburban areas where you could lose GPS, and that can bring your mission or your ability to navigate to a complete halt. Now, these digital surface model data sets are typically available through organizations like NGA and others. But if there is a region for which these data sets don't exist, we could send out a plane to capture the LiDAR data sets in a few hours. Now, if there is a situation where there has been a significant change in the building structures and other formations because of bombardment or other reasons, natural disasters to include earthquakes, we would have to then send out fresh plane to capture fresh imagery that would allow us to capture and compare new data set with the imagery that's being taken for this technology to work. Now, the main point that I want to mention is our technology is very novel and quick. The alternatives that exist in this space are slow and not reliable. And the alternatives, frankly, are also not very accurate, and they require more processing power. Because of how novel and computationally efficient the technology is, the computation can actually happen on an edge device without requiring any access to cellular connectivity or cloud connectivity. Now, this technology can be used in drone implementation as well. There's testing that has been done already with a few different cities in US to include Baltimore, DC, among others. We're expanding the testing over the next few weeks to include more cities and prove out the technology. We believe we can give accurate location in about 70% of the instances. The follow-on work will try to increase the accuracy to higher levels. Let's talk about the drone implementation for a second. So if a drone is flying and it's only using GPS, a near-peer threat adversary could suddenly start jamming GPS, and that'll totally take out that drone. Our technology can complement our drone operations. So if a drone is in a situation where the GPS is unavailable, denied, being spoofed, our digital surface model comparison using visual navigation will allow the drone to navigate in a quick, efficient, and effective manner. I want to also talk about comparing our technology with other GPS alternatives. This is certainly a crowded space. So we did some extensive analysis comparing us with sonar, radar, LiDAR, magnetic, gravitational, and other technologies that may exist. And quite frankly, while GPS is available 95% of the time, there is that 5% when it is unavailable for many reasons, then you're stuck in a limbo, right? And so you pull out a map and pen and paper and start trying to plot points, which is not the most efficient use and effective use of your time. Or you could use these alternatives, which are not very reliable and easy to access. So our technology can truly complement GPS and ensure that you have the ability to navigate in not just 95% of the instances, but perhaps closer to 99% of the instances. There are some limitations. Perhaps we can get to that if folks are interested in a follow-on meeting. Now, if we talk about specific applications, we can use our technology either mounted on a vehicle like a Humvee, dismounted on a mobile device. It can also be used within law enforcement on the commercial side. There are also some applicability of our technology for autonomous vehicles, and then also reverse image search, which I imagine would be of particular interest to this audience. We have an implementation through a mobile app on the App Store. You can check it out. You can also check out the demo for this technology on our website. You can simply take a picture, compare that against digital surface model dataset, and it'll give you an exact location back. Future state, we also want to integrate this technology into the Android Tactical Assault Kit. So our forces, both here at home and overseas, will be able to use that. So use cases that we have in mind include position and navigation in a GPS degraded, denied environment, being able to do a reverse image or video search. So the BBC example that I shared before, if this technology had been available, instead of spending months and months and a lot of humans trying to process where these images and videos were taken, they could have used our technology and compare those against digital surface model data sets to give you a more exact, precise location in a faster manner. And then we can also complement existing PNT tools to include GPS for more accurate, precise, and verifiable location. So you know where you are at all given times, and many more use cases. So if you're interested, please reach out. We're happy to have a discussion to discuss what those use cases might be. There's precedent for how this technology is being used. We have come across at least one instance of Israel using visual navigation to fly drones that did not require GPS. We haven't been able to get extensive information because this is a sensitive technology, but we think they're using similar computational algorithms as the ones that we have. So we are happy to dive deeper. If anyone has any questions or want to learn more, we would love to connect and share and showcase what we have been doing over the past few years. And we would love to partner with you to discuss your specific use case and how our technology can help. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you, Joey.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very much, Kenwal. We appreciate it. Before we go to our next company, I wanted to highlight that while we do try to bring some levity to the program with some music, we do understand the seriousness of the topics that we're talking about. So we appreciate everyone very much being engaged in how we could solve some of these problems. So we're gonna take a short break, and then next we'll come up with geoconvergence.
Welcome. I would like to thank NSIN for this opportunity and to welcome all virtual attendees to our presentation. My name is Chris Walls. I am co-founder and facility security officer for geoconvergence. Today, we are prepared to speak to multi-ent and multi-domain data correlation and threat detection. Also presenting from our side is Gary Olson. Gary, please take a moment to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gary Olson, and my entire career has been spent working on the convergence of different forms of media and data to solve problems in different sectors. And we're looking forward to showing how we connect the dots, converging information to help solve the NGA's challenging issues. Chris?
Thank you, Gary. Before we share our proposed solution regarding data management within NGA's playbook, I'd like to formally introduce geoconvergence. Our firm was established in 2004 with a single computer bought on a student loan and 2 Indiana University employees having a passion for solving problems using geospatial intelligence and other emerging technologies. Over 17 years later, our mission has not changed. With the advancements in both data feeds and technology, we can more rapidly connect the dots within a single pane of glass. We have considerable experience with rapid prototyping and integrating solutions in secure cloud-based ecosystems. Geoconvergence has a top secret facility clearance and is SBA 8A certified. Our firm is nimble, award-winning, and highly capable of pivoting to meet NGA's needs and requirements. Geoconvergence has been recognized multiple times, both regionally and internationally, for innovative solutions developed on the Esri platform. Additionally, out of the thousands of Esri business partners, geoconvergence is only one of 19 that has earned the ArcGIS Endorsed Specialty Badge. We strive to be unique and bring current technology to our customers. Geoconvergence is headquartered just outside the gates of Geoconvergence is headquartered just outside the gates of Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane, and we're just a 3.5-hour drive over to NGA West. We also maintain a regional office in Southern California. We thank you for your attendance today and look forward to sharing our solution that connects the dots. After reviewing the NGA's playbook regarding data management and the Burkina Faso challenge, we believe the technology that we are sharing today aligns well with these focus areas. I will now turn it over to Gary to introduce our solution. Gary, it's all yours.
The number of devices generating data, land, sea, air, and space-based, are overwhelming analysts and decision makers. Pretty much like a fire hose into a drinking cup. And it's overwhelming the human's ability to effectively and efficiently assess potential threats, to initiate action, and for rapid decision making. The number of devices and different forms of data, video, images, audio, structured data, unstructured data, text, GIS are all isolated and kept into different siloed databases using different proprietary technologies to look for things. And then it's the analyst, the human, the decision maker that needs to correlate these things manually to determine whether or not there's a real threat, a potential threat, or no threat. Bringing it all together, the ability to normalize the different forms of data, the different types of data, connecting the dots in a single pane of glass, giving them visually the information that they need in a way that they can understand it intuitively so that they can correlate it together without having to cut and paste against known threat criteria helps them solve these problems. Getting the information into the hands of the warfighter is essential. A single pane of glass, as you see here, we're showing how we take only the data relevant to the threat criteria, understanding how they correlate together. In different forms, assets may be hidden, data may be classified. Not knowing that it exists is problematic to the analyst or the decision maker. Knowing it exists, whether it requires additional clearances or permissions, helps them understand that there's more information to correlate together to identify a threat. Our pattern behavior module demonstrates how friendly motion can be distinguished from hostile motion, which allows the decision maker to initiate preventative action and potentially mitigate the threat, while at the same time alerting resources to redirect a convoy or friendly travel into a safe haven. People tell you who they are. People tell you where they are. People tell you how they're moving. Understanding the threat and being able to visualize it together in a single pane of glass helps our analysts and decision makers. Making the invisible visible, knowing that there are hidden assets, then correlating both visible and invisible information, accelerates the OODA loop, helps the decision maker, and helps automate some of the decision-making processes. The intelligence cycle is a number of isolated processes, typically by multiple teams, being able to augment the intelligence cycle within a single system and platform, fusing the analytics of data and media, bringing it all together, doing the correlation, helping with the analysis, getting it into a single pane of glass, helps the decision maker, helps the analyst, and helps getting information rapidly out to the edge that improves overmatch and helps our warfighters maintain their OODA loop inside their adversaries. The human in the loop is critical to everything that we're talking about. Humans make decisions. Humans have intuitive understanding. Humans have deductive reasoning. Intelligent tools, our intelligent tool, connects the dots. It culls through all the information. It raises the signal out of the noise. It brings the information visually in a single pane of glass so that the analyst and the decision maker, the human in the loop, can make intelligent, effective, rapid decisions, getting it out to the edge. Our solution is dual use. Actually, it's multiple use. Recent events like the ones that took place in San Francisco, where organizers using social media to bring a smash and grab crowd to do crime and then disperse quickly. Shooters that take advantage of a digital bullhorn to let people know that they're going to show up at a school or a house of worship to commit horrific crimes. Our energy systems. We believe our solution applies to the Burkina Faso challenge in that correlating data from multiple sources, land, sea, aerial, and space, allows our analysts to get information into the hands of local resources who can then take the preventative action to mitigate local potential threats. By understanding how people move in organized ways. People strolling down the street is a known pattern. People collecting to commit a crime or a mob is a known pattern. Being able to understand behavioral motion change, allows people and resources to initiate preventative action that avoids the conflict, that avoids the threat. Our solution has been field tested in areas where the potential for a vehicle-based IED drop was very high, and understanding within our system that the threat criteria matching patterns of movement of vehicles match those of what a drop might look like. The analysts and the decision makers were able to rapidly identify the threat, redirect motion, and at the same time mitigate the threat, knowing what kind of resources needed to be deployed. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Gary. Geoconvergence's unique approach provides a single analytical environment and platform using our cognitive intelligence solution to connect the dots. This will help NGA achieve their multi-domain data analytic and management goals. We appreciated this opportunity to showcase our solution that connects the dots within a single pane of glass. We look forward to assisting NGA to meet data management goals using our experience working in classified environments with classified information. We thank you again for your time today. And back to you, Joey.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Next up, we have Spectrobotics, and we'll take a break right beforehand.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is truly a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to talk about what we do. Now, like you, most of the leaders I've worked for were uncomfortable making key decisions based on what they saw in GEOINT products. In fact, most leaders were focused on answering why type questions, and I'd like to introduce you to techniques that we have for getting to why. And I would like to use Precision Ag to tell my story. And by the way, I'm Tim Haney. I'm the CEO and the founder of Spectrobotics here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So farmers, they're not exactly GEOINT analysts, but they are day in and day out key decision makers. And they ask questions of us like, why are my farm yield predictions up or down from last year? What's causing these fluctuations? Now, answering this question is actually kind of tough because there's lots of reasons based on the environment and farming practices, but quantifying that answer is even harder. And quantifying that answer is pretty important because lots of times compensation is based on damages that occur. So from your own human intuition, you can look at an image like this and you know that there are indicators that there are impacts to yield. So for example, the darker areas are healthy, the lighter areas are perhaps damaged from the environment. And then there's other infrastructure and other causes for damage in this field. But deep learning is great, for solving problems like this. And it scales and it enables us to do lots and lots of analytics on many, many fields. But it lacks that human intuition that you all just experienced that often helps us decide what something is based on our own experiences with it. So deep learning, it's really good at object recognition. We tend to work with lots of different multi and hyperspectral data that comes from drones or from aircraft. And we can do great classification products that can tell us this is a crop, this is soil, this is wet soil, this is infrastructure. And we're actually getting better at using deep learning to give us condition classes. So that center image in the middle there, those of you familiar with Precision Ag or doing band math type products with multispectral imagery, we can tell sort of relative plant health based on its, reflectance in the infrared spectrum. But we've been able to use our tools to use this as sort of ground truth to build data models that represent health conditions of plants in the data space. And it allows us to be a lot more precise, a lot more consistent over time, because that NDVI product is really just a relative health scale. And you can see the areas that are circled in red here, the precision or the accuracy with our tools with more traditional band math, almost to the point where it's pixel for pixel. So this is very encouraging for us to say, hey, there's probably more that we could be doing with deep learning besides just object recognition and condition class. But let's get back to the challenge of answering this: why is my yield changing? And how do we incorporate this human intuition to tell us more information about this so we can get after this why aspect of it? And we have to begin by distinguishing the different types of damage that's occurring. And you can see this, right? There's irrigation wheels that are cutting through the field. There's wind damage or hail damage that's caused by the environment. And then these sort of spurious lines that you see cutting through here are actually animal migration tracks. And animals will cut through these fields. They don't really care. And they're enjoying the food, and they also use it for like bed down. So they can actually cause quite a bit of damage here. So why is it damaged? And in the case of these three factors, this is what we're trying to use deep learning to give us more insight into what's going on. So how do we distinguish between the damage caused by irrigation tracks, animal tracks, wind damage, when we don't have a lot to go on besides just red, green, and blue? So for that, we have to start injecting what we call synthetic data into the data layers of these images. So this synthetic data is sort of based on our own human intuition, which tells us that irrigation tracts are circular in nature. So we add layers of synthetic data that mimics patterns we as humans use to associate with these circular tracts, and then add it in as a separate band. Now we can use this approach in lots of other areas. It doesn't have to be relegated just to precision agriculture. So for example, the image on the left there are those concentric circles we just talked about. But we could build synthetic data based on elevation models, for example. And let's say that we know that elevation with certain angles, that certain with certain steepness or with certain orientation can give us better insights into how runoff is going to affect an area. Or perhaps we're looking to improve fire models, and we know that trees that face a certain angle of the sun on a certain slope with a certain species have certain moisture contents, and we can reliably predict this. It's hard to sort of analyze this data and improve these models unless you have this known correlation between tree species and moisture content with its orientation in the natural world. And then say, for example, you're doing trafficability analysis with this image on the far right, and you're looking at wetland information, and all you really have to go on is sort of plant information. But you know that certain plants thrive or suffer in certain soil conditions. So we can make certain inferences, and we can add these inferences as synthetic data based on our human intuition into the data stack that enables us to do a lot more precise data modeling and classification of these images. So how it works. Basically, how this works is we're doing semantic segmentation, which enables us to take pixels that are within each scene and break them down into the components of what they are. So for example, in the image on the left, you see a bike rider. We're all familiar with that. And then we're getting pretty good at being able to find objects within here. So say you're looking for a bicycle, you want to kick out the background, you can identify a rider in this case. But suppose you actually wanted to, or we're specifically looking for bike riders. If you have the technology to do this, this enables you to start to ask questions about bike riders and not people and not bikes. It's a subtle difference, but it actually makes it gives us a lot more to work with in terms of what can we derive, what intel value does it have by being able to associate these connections between objects. So here's the core underlying technology. We call it the UNet model. It's actually called the UNet model, but it essentially takes large images like you've been seeing before, and it enables us to break them down into smaller and smaller components, almost down to the pixel level. So when we start to classify these objects or these features or these items of interest that we're looking for, the left-hand side of this breaks it down into its smallest components for classification, and then it reconstructs all of these images back out into the input size image, basically because we're looking for large-ish objects. And like I said, down to the pixel level, and then it starts to classify and identify these based on features, on boundaries, on contrasts, things that distinguish objects one from another or something from its background. So the next step is data preparation. And basically, if you look at the top image here, this is sort of a cutout from a multispectral image where we were doing tree classifications. So in order to feed this information about data models and being able to get really highly accurate models of real world objects, we're able to select these objects down to pixel levels where we can identify those borders and those contrasts and those features very precisely. And then that goes into that unit model that enables us to do these classifications that not only give us information about what an object is, so in this case it's a tree and it's been separated from its background, but with the right band map or the band information in infrared or other regions of the spectrum, we can start to derive other valuable information such as what is the tree species here. And while we maybe not can get down to species, but we can at least distinguish between certain families of trees, so whether it's a coniferous tree or a deciduous tree. So lots of work needs to be done in this area to see just how refined that we can make these models and make them more precise and more actionable for decision makers. And then finally, you have to grade your own paper. And anybody who works in the deep learning world knows that a lot of this technology is still sort of black box. So for us, you know, we take a lot of pain to ensure that that what we're predicting, the A in this case, versus what the actual ground truth is telling us, the B in this case, that the intersection of these two, that the way we predict it versus its real world, you know, where it exists in the real world, divided by the union of these two, gives us sort of a grade of how well our models are accurately predicting these outputs. But the real question, I guess, is does it work? And as you can imagine, I wouldn't be here if it didn't work. So here we break down the causes of these, you know, the damage that occurs in these fields that affects this yield that farmers are most interested in. And you can see that the animal tracks are being correctly characterized from the irrigation tracks, which we predicted, and then the wind damage, of course, from the healthy crop. But, you know, if you blow this up and get really into it, it's not 100%. And while for some, I guess, you know, that's okay, that's not good enough for us because there's a lot more uses for this type of technology besides, you know, applications in precision agriculture that really require a lot more precision. And I'll give you an example here. So just recently, in fact, last month, Boulder County experienced a wildfire rip through several neighborhoods and took out about 1,000 homes in one afternoon. So obviously, you know, this is a, you know, a high intensity disaster mitigation event and caused a lot of trouble and damage to personal property and such. And there's a lot of information about this area that was sort of stored away in spurious areas. But even if you stacked all this together, it really doesn't give you any insights into what happens when winds are above a certain amount. And that was the problem here is we had super high winds that day. What happens when you've got certain conditions on the ground that relate to the moisture content in the vegetation? And it is our belief that had we been able to take known information such as weather forecasts and elevation models and where the power lines are and vegetation density, and then we could inject that with synthetic data that derives from pattern of life activity. So we know how many people are home on a, you know, where are the population densities in this area that we need to put resources on first, or historical weather damages. So we know how fast a fire like this can move through a neighborhood so we can pre-position you know, resources to help fight this or reduce the risk. This is where we need to get it right. And this is where we believe that injecting synthetic data into the normal data stack that goes into this data model development for deep learning can give us some greater insights because human intuition is often left out of the equation and our own experiences are sort of just left on the shelf where we're only sort of looking at what's exactly in front of us. So this is the team that's going to get it done. Myself and two others that have been working on these types of problems specifically. I've been in the GEOINT world for most of my professional career within the Army, within Army Space, and then now as a small business owner working for Space Force and working for our commercial customers in precision ag and smart city. And then my colleagues here, obviously very strong backgrounds in math and science, and then also software development, which is almost, you can't be a great mathematician these days without being equally competent in utilizing the software tools that are available to us. So really confident that we can push this forward, and this is our ask.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
kind of running at time, so we're going to have to wrap it up so we can get to our panel.
Roger that. I'm going to cut it here. This is our ask. We obviously would like guidance and direction. Funding is always a big bonus, and then strategic partnerships to keep us on glide slope.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. Thank you, Spectrobotics. Okay, so we have a ambitious agenda. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to have a break before we bring in our panel discussion, a couple of minutes. So very excited for this next discussion. So thank you, and hold on for a minute with some music that Ben has procured, and we'll get back to you. Okay, we are back. Thank you very much for your patience. When we have panel discussions at STARTS programs, it is meant to bring together our folks from different fields. So when we have academics, we have venture capitalists, we have those in the defense industry, we want to make sure that there is a combination of thought and perspective where everyone can leave here having a better understanding of where the mark is when it comes to strategy, especially in a diverse field like geospatial intelligence. So we have Stephen here who is going to lead our panel. Stephen is the CEO of Reinventing Geospatial Inc., and he is going to lead our distinguished panel. He's going to introduce them, and also, fun fact about Stephen, it is said that he has accumulated about 100 plants during the pandemic. I believe they all have names. So if that is something that you want to get into, feel free to reach out to him, but he's going to take it away. So thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you to our distinguished panel.
Thanks, Joey. Yes, as part of the prep work here, I actually learned that Patty has an entire greenhouse. So if you want to keep your plants alive, talk to her. If you just want plants that die every so often, talk to me. So anyways, good morning or afternoon, depending on which time zone you're in, and welcome to our panel discussing really geospatial intelligence, the geospatial intelligence market. So for today's discussion, I'm joined here with Dr. Dedrick Carter. He's the Vice Chancellor for Innovation and Chief Commercialization Officer at WashU. We have Dr. Patty Hagan, who's the President and Executive Director for over at TREX. And we have Dale Rainey joining us, who's the Director of the Small Business Office and Programs over at the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency. As a moderator, I like to really minimize the amount of talking I do, so let's just jump right in with Dr. Carter. Do you want to take it from here?
Absolutely. So first, thanks very much, Stephen, and appreciate the opportunity to chat with you all today. If we think about the period in which we find ourselves, just kind of some framing comments. We're entering a period of unprecedented time of creativity and innovative thought. The grist from which our country was founded is really revealing itself in a way that we haven't seen in peacetime in some time. You're sort of working towards hindering a common foe and rethinking the way that we gather, the way that we work, the way that we engage, the way that we view problems, and the way the problems are presented to us. In the world of innovation, solutions and problem spaces meet interesting developments all the time. So these solutions are developed and they're looking for problems. The problems are out there and they're looking for challenging solutions and issues and the problem space to mitigate them. And collectively, we're working around trying to solve interesting problems directed around some charge. And that really is part and parcel to what we're discussing here on how do you bring together the right sets of people to understand where the opportunity is and make sure those opportunities are available to all. Ever so often in academia, we get an interesting old problem that's solved by someone that shouldn't have solved it. Some junior person, a freshman who's invested their time, their talents, and their treasures, limited treasures to find a solution. And I love it when this happens. What they do is that they are unencumbered by all the things that we fetter us now. They look at a problem that I learned 15 years ago wasn't solvable, and they solve it. Maybe not because they're much smarter than I am, maybe it is, but maybe because they just didn't know any better. Right? They are looking at this and I'm saying, well, it costs too much, processors are too expensive. And they realize in the intervening 15 years, things changed pretty dramatically. Car processor speeds have gone way up, prices have gone way down. So the thing that I thought was a huge hurdle, now they just throw some excess capacity at it and they solve this problem. And when you see that, you know it, and it's just sort of one of those like, wow, why didn't I think about it? But the reason is because you have a new unimbued perspective on this old problem. So part of what we're trying to do here is bring together in innovative ways, entrepreneurial processes, the motivating the best, encouraging the best, cultivating the best, accelerating the best of new perspectives on age-old problems, and really trying to solve them. And that's what I hope to spend some time talking with you about later today. I want to say one other thing, just on the perspective of innovation. We throw around innovation a lot. Innovation is actually one of those topics that we don't define and unpack. But years ago, I was a science advisor to the director of the National Science Foundation, and giving a talk in the American Academy for Advancement of Sciences. And someone asked me, "What is innovation? What does it mean?" And I said, in essence, it really is when one finds economic, strategic, or societal value in fundamental knowledge. Fundamental knowledge is free, or actually deeply subsidized by government interest in sort of solving these fundamental knowledge problems, but value creation is not. And so really innovation is when we take the leap of finding value in these fundamental knowledge. So I offer that diverse and inclusive perspectives are essential to a culture of innovation. I offer that charging those diverse perspectives around critical problems is essential to focusing innovative energy. And I offer that partnerships that emerge across sections where we bring together people from all walks of life, and framing and reframing the problems is really how we solve them creatively. And that's part and parcel to why we need to make sure that diverse perspectives are around the table when we're thinking about opportunities in geospatial. And I'll be quiet there.
Great. And from there, Patty, if you wouldn't mind jumping in, kind of framing your discussion along the lines of public sector and how the private sector is supporting the public.
Sure. Well, thanks. And thanks for the invitation to our friends at NGA and NSIN to be a part of this panel, this distinguished panel. So it's really fun to talk about what we're doing at TREX and how we're, to Dedrick's point, making the idea of innovation real here in St. Louis. So let me start with telling you a little bit about TREX. We're a nonprofit innovation and acceleration center that supports entrepreneurial development. We're located in downtown St. Louis, and we were founded to work on inclusive economic development for our city. So that's been a major focus of ours throughout our existence, throughout our founding. Where we focus on advanced information technologies with a special focus on geospatial that has grown significantly over the past few years, as has our relationships with both NGA and NSIN, many federal partners and industry partners as well. To that end, we not only provide space to entrepreneurial companies, innovators, and partners, we also develop and provide programming and resources to support early stage entrepreneurs in advanced technologies. So for example, we, as part of our geospatial focus, we've developed the first geospatial innovation center in the nation. That leverages our industry partners, our academic partners, and our startups to bring these people together, bring groups together to advance innovative ideas and that can lead to entrepreneurship and feed economic development in St. Louis. Some of these things include a new extended reality lab that was a partnership with the federal government to fund the development of resources that can provide low cost or no cost programming and hardware and software and other resources to emerging entrepreneurs and researchers that may not necessarily be available to them otherwise. Likewise, we have a data, we've developed a data lake that's also going to be available to researchers, innovators, and entrepreneurs. We've developed a GeoSeed program that is funding researchers at several universities throughout the area, including Washington University, to advance geospatial technology development and innovation. All of these things are done in partnership, Stephen, to your point, with a network that helps to support entrepreneurship and innovation through funding, through mentorship, through services. And as we can grow these efforts, economic development benefits accrue to our region. There are many other things that we're doing at T-REX to support these efforts. But let me talk briefly about our special relationship with the NGA and then also NSIN. So we've supported NGA over the past several years in a partnership that includes both the provision of space, but also partnering on programming and developing the NGA's new facility at T-REX called Moonshot Labs, which is focused on their own innovation activities. We have an MOU with NGA, and we're currently working on an expansion of our partnering efforts with them to support their mission objectives, which will have extended benefits as well, for our efforts. And then recently we've partnered with NSIN in a number of efforts that include hackathons, events, meetings, and so forth. And now we're working with NSIN on developing a makerspace at T-REX to help support startups as well. So in sum, for these beginning comments, I mean, you can't do any of this without partnering in public-private partnerships. And you really have to make a strong effort to pull these things together and make them available for outcomes for everybody involved.
Great, thanks, Patty. So that leads us, Dale, to start discussing a little bit how NGA and related entities can help dismantle the bureaucracy, with the important focus on diverse supply chains. So, Dale, would you like to do the framing of the discussion here?
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really happy to be a part of this discussion and event. So for NGA, there are several barriers to entry for small businesses. We have large businesses that we work with day in, day out, and some get, and not all, most have an innovative way of doing things. Others have get in a routine that is day to day or habitual and not necessarily looking to change. I will say that the government overall has been in the business of relaying to industry what we wanted, what we needed, and in addition to what we want and what we need, how we need it. And so those create a lot of roadblocks. And so we don't allow a lot of opportunity for innovation. But the last 5 to 8 to 12 years, the government, specifically NGA, has recognized that. And we are looking to expound upon that by going out looking for small businesses and incentivizing large businesses to become more innovative. But a lot of the barriers have to do with the contract clauses that we use day to day. For NGA, we're in the intelligence community, and so there's another barrier or challenge to get access to what we need and to actually get access to the facility. So that's another barrier. So not only do you have to have a facility clearance, which allows you to view and control classified information, but there are also personnel clearances that you have to have as well. And so for us, we have a little bit more of a challenge bringing new innovative companies into the fold. And some of the things that we're working on at NGA from a small business perspective is to allowing companies to be introduced in an opportunity to participate in procurement efforts at NGA. And so trying to reduce those few barriers, personnel clearances, facility clearances, contract clauses, things of that nature that really you need a huge staff to manage and to be able to provide the data to NGA. Those are some of the areas that we're trying to reduce or eliminate. And so for me, we've instantiated several opportunities from a small business. We've got a small business security program that we've instantiated and stood up, and we can help sponsor companies or individuals to get security clearances. If you all have a capability or a technology that you'd like to introduce or that you think NGA would be interested in from a geospatial perspective, and again, I would not limit it to geospatial products and services, but again, to get out of this daily, habitual way of doing things, we are always looking for new and different ways to bring in new processes and new capability. And so those are the things and the reasons why we, again, are trying to diversify. Everyone has a different way of processing and thinking of how to bring in new capability. But the only way to optimize that is to have a group of folks or companies from a diverse background. And so those are things that we're trying to target and again, help grow NGA in the federal government. For the most part, the biggest thing, again, is we provide direct support to the warfighter. And so again, it's really huge for us to provide that capability to give our warfighter the best position to be able to come in and do what they do. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Dale. So for about the next 20 minutes or so, I want to change gears a little bit and go through some question and answers to the various panelists. But I think we'll start off with Patty. Feeding off of Dale's intro there, I think you're very interested in how the federal labs advance the state of the art through partnerships and innovation hubs. How do you align agile partners to the needs of the federal government? And then how do startups engage with T-Rex, the Geospatial Innovation Lab, or GeoSource, and the Moonshot Lab to deliver real results to, as Dale said, to the warfighter?
Okay, well, thank you, Steve. So I think what we've learned and what I've learned over my career in partnering with federal agencies is that much like any other kind of innovation activity, it's really an effort in practicing and trying and seeing what works. And then if something doesn't work, moving on and trying something else. And so I don't want to speak for my NGA friends, but I do know that in conversation with them over the years, one of the things that's come up with the experience that they're having now in pushing forward in innovative new ways is that this was not something, as Dale mentioned, that was very familiar to the organization. And so, so they've really, within a very big bureaucracy, like turning a battleship, right? They've had to try some things and practice some things. And at first, it's really hard to get people to understand what might be possible. And so within the organization, I think that there have been folks who have felt strongly that this is that innovation is an important national security concern. It is an education concern, a workforce concern, an inclusive economic development opportunity concern. And if we don't, as a nation, find ways to support all federal agencies in their innovation activities, we're going to fall further behind than where we find ourselves now in terms of international competition. So I think that what we've learned is that persistence and kindness and respect and trust is incredibly important. And also finding ways to work together that allows the agency to comply with its federal compliance needs, but allowing the agency to think through how to use an agile partner. And, you know, in our case, I'm talking from the T-Rex perspective, but how to use any kind of agile partner, a nonprofit, educational institutions, and so forth, for situations that can take innovation to the next step. And so just as an example, Moonshot Labs is a great example of that being done. We were able to build Moonshot Labs fairly quickly, actually. And the NGA now is looking at that place and that space and its programming as a real opportunity for innovation for the agency. So I think just keeping those relationships open and understanding and reducing frustration on all sides is really key and critical to supporting both organizations' missions in our case.
Thanks, Patty. So Dale, if you could elaborate on how NJ envisions these partnerships that Patty's been talking about, how these partners was, essentially with the startups. How does the agency look to tie together the efforts of the NJ Accelerator, the BAAs, and the SBIRs, such as the Big R, from the BAA perspective, and then how all that technology transitions to the traditional program of records? And Dale, you are muted.
So we partner, again, we're looking to Moonshot Labs and Patty's team to assisting us, one, of being introduced to new startups and companies. We know that working with the government can be, it's kind of frustrating to a degree, but we're looking for ways to, one, bring in new companies, at least let them know about NGA, what we do, and excite them, hopefully, to want to get into the geospatial ecosystem, to, again, assist us with bringing in new technology and capability. This is pretty huge for us because, again, it allows us to bring in new companies. We have lost over 40% of companies, most parts in the industry base. And so we're trying to help grow that so that the government and NGA will have more companies to be able to come in and assist us with solving our mission requirements. But we partner with Christine Woodard, who you heard from earlier through the event, and the Accelerator program. And we try to look for companies that have technology or capability that ties into the geospatial process. And so through Moonshot Labs out in St. Louis, we have the opportunity to bring companies in, provide or assist them with getting a clearance, personnel clearance or a facility clearance, whatever is needed to communicate with NGA and provide space for them to prove out or mature their technology or capability. And so someone may have a concept, they may have an idea, and they may have been working on that, putting it together, and they may have a brass board or something that's very not well thought out. And through Moonshot Labs, we'll be able to partner with some of NGA's personnel in those areas from an IT perspective and work with them to help mature that technology or capability. They're building out a brass board. But long story short, it's to bring in and witness that capability, bring it in on the low side, again, on the unclassified side through NGA, And if needed, we'll mature that to be able to hopefully operationalize it on the high side. And so again, this is a great avenue and venue to bring in startup companies. One, to introduce them to NGA and let them know what we do. And two, find out what they have to offer from a technology perspective. And then three, again, take that technology, help them mature it, and then bring it into NGA's footprint for operations.
Great, Dale. Excuse me. I have one follow. Oh, go on, Dr. Carter.
Yeah, I just want to have a quick follow-up point to something Dale said. We've, another hat that I wear is as the chairman of Missouri Technology Corporation, which is in partnership with NGA, developed the NGA Accelerator. And the Accelerator, I talked in my opening comments about this, the focus on being able to find problems that need solutions and solutions that need problems. And it really is about awareness. Big, hairy issues are solved by communities, and that communities are part of partnerships and relationships that work together. And we see that with NSIN and with NGA, where we sort of come together to say, how do we raise awareness that there is an opportunity here? How do we raise awareness for an issue that we need to solve? And in the NGA Accelerator, we're bringing up cohorts. We've been through 2 cohorts now of companies, vetting them, bringing them in around a problem that's been identified by the NGA and saying, go, bring your best knowledge and insights to bear. So it is about finding solutions, really solving these problems, about finding solutions, to some degree repurposing existing solutions, and also creating opportunities for people to see themselves from diverse backgrounds in the work that needs to be done.
Great. So Dale, I want to hit you with one other quick question before we pivot conversation to a lot of the innovative work that Dr. Carter's doing. You mentioned the frustration of working with NGA, or the frustration working with the federal government. A lot of that can come from the lack of expertise of government contracting. So how would you recommend that the startups partner with the existing industrial base, both large and small, to help overcome some of these barrier of entries? On the industry side, we have a lot more flexibility in terms of facility clearances and going through the request for proposal, the mentor-protege process, contract execution, all that good stuff that we're expertise in, allowing for these small businesses to keep their expertise.
Well, for startups, we do quite a bit. One, we introduce them to the various types of needs as for staffing of personnel. But the big thing, so that lets them know what type of personnel they need to hire or how big they want to grow. From a security perspective, they'll need a security officer. They may need contracting individuals. Now, most startups, they'll contract that out and pay a company to submit a proposal, to assist them in submitting a proposal. But from an NGA perspective, we have lots of contractual vehicles that allow us to reduce the number of clauses that we put in contracts. So if we are trying to assist a startup company and we're looking to bring them in, we will probably offer or come up with a contractual vehicle using an OTA, an other transaction agreement. And this allows us to come up with very minimum terms and or requirements where they will easily understand. And that allows us all to be on the same page of expectations of what we're looking for them to do. And in return, they'll know the expectations coming from NGA. And so that is a huge help for startups and companies. And if we enter into, we also have agreements where we could assist and come up with a very minimum bureaucratic agreement to again, similar to OTAs, but it has a few more requirements and contractual clauses in it. So again, depending on where we are from a maturity level on the capability or technology or the service, depends on the type of vehicle that we use. But for startups, for the most part, we're going to offer an OTA, again, to be very straightforward, very, very limited, and very focused.
Great, thanks, Dale. So Dr. Carter, I'd really like to pivot the conversation a little bit in your direction. I know from our pre-work, you could tell how excited I was about some of the things that you were discussing. So you are championing a lot of the work that's bridging the gap between the public and private partnerships, spinning off multiple companies per year. And that's something I had no idea we were doing in this space. What do you think needs to happen to dramatically increase the entrepreneurial activity around geospatial technology? What is the role of government in spurring the industrial base?
Yeah, so I think there are many roles of government. My model is always, where do you find good problems and how do you raise awareness for those solutions? So if you put those problems in front of people who want to solve meaty issues or who are working in those directions, can pivot in those directions, you increase the probability that you're going to get something that works. I once was recruiting at MIT for a position, and I saw a guy out and asked him to come in and talk to me about the role. And I said, so do you have any problem with traveling? He said, will I be traveling? I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to solve interesting problems. I said, well, do you have any problem with travel? Will I be traveling to interesting problems? The answer is yes. Well, good. Then I have no problem with it. I said, well, what industry do you want to be in? What industry has the most interesting problems? And I've never forgotten this conversation, because it really is about people being motivated to find solutions around things that sort of inspire them in interesting ways. The public-private partnerships that I talked about, so the two hats I wear at WashU, sort of trying to create individuals who have the skill sets and the knowledge and know-how and the tools through intellectual property to impact these solutions. And then through MTC as the chair there and working with the NGA on the accelerator. And I love this idea of the accelerator and bringing together cohorts of teams from across the country, bringing them here, either virtually or physically, to focus on solutions and help raise awareness for the opportunities available through the NGA. And if you think about it, you ask the question, what's happening? What do we need to do? We need to do more of that, in my opinion. If we talk to the companies that are there and we said, how many of you had some participation in the NGA accelerator, in geospatial intelligence or engagement with the NGA before the accelerator, most of them, 80%, said no. If you say about afterwards, over half of them are saying, yeah, this engagement is interesting. If you look at the diversity of the candidate pool there, about 44% of the participants have at least one female founder or member of their leadership team, and close to 70% have some racially or ethnically diverse founder. So it really is about creating the existence proof and showing people here challenging problems, that you have something that you can offer to solve this problem. And if you do this in a meaningful way and engage through this process that we set up over the cohorts, cohort 1 and 2, it actually can mean something for you in the success of your venture. So I think we need to do more providing the existence proof and really putting out there real problems that people can dig their teeth into and come up with new and innovative solutions. Because it takes both, repurposing things that are out there, but really formulating new solutions around the problems that are presented through NGA and the DoD.
Yeah, so to follow on that thread, how are your efforts helping with diversity and inclusion?
Yeah.
How are we ensuring that opportunities for engagement, participation, and the economic has potential for all small businesses? That everyone has an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, so I started off by saying it's really important that we get diverse perspectives around the table if we're going to solve these problems well. We have to, there's this famous problem out there in systems, which is the elevator problem. You have an elevator in a building that's going slow, and you say, well, how do you fix it? And the owner of the building says, well, put a new elevator in or repair it or change the algorithm. The building manager says, are you kidding me? I can't even get you to give me salt for the steps. And it's going to be really disruptive to change the elevator out. What I'm going to do is actually instead put up a mirror or play some music, put hand sanitizer out to distract you from the wait for the elevator. And you're going to have equally happy people at a reasonable price and cost and timing. So that different perspective was important in getting to a solution that worked, or at least buying time. And I think what we've done through the work that we're doing is creating awareness about these opportunities. I mentioned the growth of companies that have been a part of the accelerator that have female and racially and ethnically diverse founders and leadership team members in my earlier comments. I mentioned those, if you think about those who had no experience and those who've moved to experience, that is growing dramatically. But even beyond that, if you ask people what has been the participation and engagement with the DoD community, about a quarter of them before said none, and 100% of them afterwards said yes. And went on to say, I think that we will continue that work afterwards. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 81% believe that they will be participating in some significant way. So the data is saying that these efforts are making a difference. They are creating an impact. And they are seeing people that say, somewhere in the neighborhood of half of the cohort members said somewhere between 20 and 50% of my revenue in the next 3 years, they expect will come from contracts or vehicles that result from this engagement. So not only are we adding we're adding potential to the pipeline for the revenue stream of these companies, we're really increasing the exposure of these companies to NGA on promising solutions to problems. And that's what the win is all about.
Great. So guys, we are just a hair behind our timeline. So what I want to do is jump to two really questions I really like. And I guess I have that power as the moderator, and we'll all just have to go in this direction. But and if we have time, I'll come back to those other two. But again, Dr. Carter, how do we engage the beautiful minds? You know, one where the mind doesn't even know what the world can offer. And equally important, where that mind doesn't understand what they offer to the world.
Yeah, I think the beautiful mind is always looking for the solution that's accessible, the problem that's accessible, and you know, we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And the other part of that, which is really important and often overlooked, is belonging. It's not just that I include you in the room, but I actually help you to have a sense that you belong in that room and you have something to offer in a meaningful way in that room. And so the beautiful mind has to not only be in the room, they have to feel the sense of belonging that says you're empowered to buck against everyone else that's in this room who's been there forever, to say what is on your mind about where the solution might go. And I think that lowering the barriers, creating the sense of belonging, building the networks that we're talking about here, and opening the eyes to the potential is really how you engage the beautiful mind. Really challenging problems, low barriers of entry, and a sense of belonging are the answers there.
Great, and to Patty, feeding off that discussion, Dr. I didn't Google how to pronounce this. Dr. Klutz, a professor at Texas A&M University, is the one that actually coined the term, according to Wikipedia, the Great Resignation. Harvard Business Review recently had published an opinion that suggests what we're really facing is the great disconnect. How do you envision the great competition for talent playing out in the startup community? How is this innovation hub that you're creating in St. Louis really the place to play?
Well, first of all, Stephen, I think that is a great terminology, the great disconnect. It is a concern in terms of an innovation community, for sure. There are hopeful signs, though. Let me describe this for a second. So just within our world at TREX, we've gone from just having 3 geospatial organizations involved with us at the very beginning of our focus on this in our partnership with the NGA to now a presence of over 60 in TREX. And part of that is because NGA is so closely tied in a partnership with us. And there are so many opportunities to engage with NGA partners and other industry partners. So that, I think, is a phenomenal sign. The other thing is, in terms of the pandemic itself, what we've noticed is as soon as a spike goes down, people come back. And when it goes back up, people go home and work. And so we can actually draw parallels to use of our programming and resources in our facility to spikes within the pandemic. So I think that's really hopeful. The other thing is that there is an ongoing need for innovation and for new technologies that is not going to go away. And people want to be involved in that. There are many creative people out there who we're engaged with on a daily basis. I can hardly keep up with them. And we have so many great universities in our region. these are, the disconnect is a situation that we have to contend with. And I think that there will be some sort of hybrid situations that have developed and will continue to develop over time. But the need for people to be together and to interface together and to network with one another is essential. It's a human need. I was earlier in the presentation, and I wrote down the name of the company here. I'm sorry, bear with me, just on Spectra Biotics, just as an example. We are working with precision ag companies on technology in geospatial. And one of the things that I want to do after this is try to connect Spectra Biotics to some of the Latin American companies that we're working with who visited us recently, many of whom have geospatial needs. So these are things that need to be connected, that offer opportunities for people, that can expand thinking, that can involve university students. All of these things need continual tending and connection. They're still happening. They'll happen more, and it'll grow as this grow back up as the pandemic recedes. I have full hope about that.
Great. Thanks you, Patty. And I believe, unless Joey tells us otherwise, I think we have about 6 minutes left, Dale. And so that's about 2 minutes each for everyone to do their closing thoughts. And I'll stay out of the way. So Dale, just pass it over to Patty when you're done, and Patty over to Dr. Carter, and then we'll pass it off to Joey to bring on Alex next.
All right, Steve, thank you. So real quick, I want to address the Beautiful Minds question real quickly. Again, being in the intelligence community, agencies in the intelligence community do not typically advertise or market their needs from a large perspective. And so we're learning, or we're having the opportunity of recognizing the importance of bringing more companies in, especially startups. We're going to have needs for years to come, and we're going to need to be able to resolve and solve our mission needs for hundreds of years to come. And so that piece, again, I think we need to get out and market more. I think we need to get out and let the world know what we do. I think that would be another way to attract, and that's through marketing, through newspapers, TV, and other venues such as this. And so again, thank you all again for having us participate. Again, I think the area that the hub is in St. Louis is a great place, as it's centrally located, and we've got lots of spokes where we can reach out and learn about these companies or startups. And so with that, again, we hope that everyone is interested and know about us and are willing to work with us. Patty, over to you.
All right, thanks, Dale. Yeah, just real quick, I think, the thing that I'd like to close with is, I love the terminology beautiful mind, but I also think we focused a lot, I think we focused a lot on talking about startups here, which we should. But the thing that I think is so important and that we pay so much attention to at T-Rex as well is that we have to serve people wherever they are at. And we don't have enough diverse tech entrepreneurs. And we can look for them, we can go try to find them and continue to serve that, but we also need to do multiple things at the same time. We need to pay attention to growing tech entrepreneurship in minority communities. We need to ensure that students throughout our community are exposed and engaged in advanced technologies so that they can see what they can be. And that's the only way that this whole effort will grow over time. So it's something that we care very deeply about at T-Rex, in addition to our startup efforts, education and workforce and curricular development. And so I think it's something that I ask all of our companies to pay close attention to serve as mentors, to connect to educational opportunities and exposure opportunities for diverse communities and for women and girls as well. So, Dedrick, I'll toss it over to you.
Well, I appreciate it to be with all the panelists here and to work with Stephen and moderating. You moderated a fantastic panel. In July 1945, as the war sort of waned, Vannevar Bush, who was very focused on all of the scientists who come together to sort of help defeat a common foe, was worried that now that great talent that had been pulled together around these pressing problems was going back to balkanizing and moving back to respective areas. And he wrote something, As We May Think, and started to frame a vision for how you could capture all of that energy and enthusiasm to move forward and truly advance science, technology, and preeminence in a significant way. And his lineage sort of led to the work that I did in engineering and science. So I think about Dale's comment on how you don't advertise now in the DoD. I did my research work in the DoD in grad school, and it simply was I had this problem I was really interested in that I worked on in the summer. I found someone at a laboratory, and I wrote him a note, and he first said, "How did you find me?" And I told him how. He said, "You need to come research for me if you were able to find me." And that led to a wonderful relationship that we still have today. So I believe that there's great, interesting problems out there, and harnessing that energy in a network hub like we have in St. Louis is important. We see that when people ask me what's happening in St. Louis, I say something special. I think it's something special because we're bringing together these tools. Missouri Technology Corporation in partnership with NGA over the NGA Accelerator, Moonshot Labs, those pieces come together to form this really wonderful network that will be a great place to support companies who want to be in geospatial technology and bring all of the diverse perspectives to bear on solving the most pressing problems of our time. So thank you very much. That's what a beautiful mind really is.
I'd like to jump in and thank our panelists for taking time out of the day to come speak with us. And with that, I believe it is time to turn this back over to Joey so he can introduce Alex as our next keynote.
Yes. Thank you very much, Stephen, Dr. Carter, Dr. Hagan, Dale. I really appreciate those perspectives in this conversation that needs to continue. And I'm so glad that we've gotten to bring this panel together and these speakers together on this event focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion in the geospatial field. So for my East Coast friends, I know that we're used to having time on our side, and kind of I can hear maybe a stomach grumble or two, but we still have some fantastic programming coming up before we take a break. So with that, I'm going to get to introduce Alex Luhr, who is the CTO of NGA. Alex spent his career bringing modern digital practices to our government's most important problems. Prior to his role at NGA, Alex served as Deputy CTO at the Department of Veteran Affairs, where he launched an updated va.gov to improve veterans' digital experience, and also led the VA's API program. Alex also, in his previous experiences inside and outside of the government, includes U.S. Digital Service, Incutel, and the Army Geospatial Research Lab. So we are going to go to a slight break and then bring him on, and I'm very excited to hear what he says. Thank you.
Thanks for the intro, but even more so, thank you all for being here. I'm excited. Now, to warn you before we start, I don't have slides, and well, I guess I got a musical intro. I didn't get a fun fact like Stephen, so I guess either sorry or you're welcome, depending on how you feel about those. But in all seriousness, this is an important event for us, and the opportunity to talk to you all is something I'm really excited about. I was asked to talk about two documents, NGA's technology focus areas, which are about where we're going, and then the technology strategy about how we're going to get there. So I'll talk about these, but I also want to save some time at the end talking a little bit about the importance of diversity and inclusion and why you all are so important to our future. So I will make sure we get to that, but I'll follow the script a bit and talk about the two documents first. So as we wrote these documents, we really worked hard to think about an internal and an external audience. Kind of as you heard in the last presentation, it's rare for an IC agency to talk openly externally, but we wanted and needed to do that in these documents. We wanted to write them in a way that was understandable to people, to companies, to organizations who hadn't necessarily done business with NGA before. So, if you're in our building every day, you probably have a pretty good sense of what we do. But if you aren't or we haven't worked together, I know it can feel like a black box. And so we put out these documents publicly. You know, we work through public release. You can Google them. You'll find them on our website to talk about both where we're heading and how we're going to get there. And I think that's pretty important for us. So let's talk first on the tech focus areas. As I kind of vastly oversimplify what NGA does, and there are a lot of things that we do, but as I think about it, a lot of it comes down to we either bring in or we create data, we manage it and we make sense of it, and then we share out either that data or the analysis around it with our customers. And in that middle part, that makes sense of it, is where the first technology focus area comes in around advanced analytics and modeling. We have to model our knowledge, we model the world, and really this is about accelerating our workflows and how we will deliver our analysis. To do those analytics and to do that modeling though, you first have to have data and you have to manage that data well, right? And so that's what leads to the second focus area around data management. And, you know, this is data about the Earth, but it's also things on the Earth. And then even beyond that, it's increasingly about what's going on in space and off of Earth as well. You know, there's a lot of talk at the DE&I level around how today's threats are global in nature, but really we also see them happening both on and off this planet, and we see them happening at a speed that we just have never seen before. And so to make sense of this, we have to first better manage our data, and then we definitely have to do it in more standardized ways and following standards. And then we have to build kind of the analytics and modeling on top of that. So that's really where the tech focus areas start. Probably not a shock to folks who have been around NGA. These are pretty enduring problems, but they're core to our mission, and we need to keep getting better at them. So really, we started the tech focus areas around those two of data management and advanced analytics and modeling. The third area then was a bit more of a surprise to folks. I've gotten some feedback on it, but I think it's incredibly important. And this is around modern software engineering. If we're going to talk about the importance of data management, to do that at the scale that we need and to do the modeling and the analytics we just talked about, we need software. So if we need software for our mission, we sure as heck better deliver it in a modern way. In one of the presentations this morning, I think it was Tim who mentioned you can't be a good mathematician without knowing software these days. I think that is absolutely true, and that applies a lot more broadly than just in math, but across our entire mission. And so having a tech focus area around modern software engineering, around bringing our developers closer to mission, around automating testing and deployments, and really getting our technical workforce the tools that they need to deliver useful software faster is an important focus area for us. And so that's the third around modern software engineering. Fourth, you can't have tech focus areas these days if you don't talk about AI. So we do, of course, we have to fit in the themes, but in all seriousness too, like we recognize we need to be the world's best at computer vision, and that machine learning and AI are incredibly important parts of making that real. And then if you read the doc, which hopefully, you know, you're getting the quick version here, but hopefully you do read it, you'll see we make important points in that section around ethical AI, as well as understanding biases that can often be introduced. And so having those be an understanding from the beginning and a part of the process, rather than something that we think we can bolt on at the end, is incredibly important. And so we devote almost a whole paragraph to that section. And then fifth, the final tech focus area is around the future of work. And this is something that we've been talking about and we recognized before COVID, but really has become much more pronounced since and is incredibly important to our agency. And we recognize that we can't solely work inside the walls of our secure facilities. We have to work with new companies, but also we can't work just inside our walls because our workforce is demanding it. They talked a bit about this, Patty did at the end of the last presentation, but I think, you know, the workforce expects to have flexibility, and as we need to bring in and keep incredible geospatial talent, we have to enable a workplace that gives them that flexibility. And so I think what we're doing in St. Louis is incredibly important to our future, and how we, you know, have moonshot labs today and are building out N2W really is showing the way for the future of work. And across so many NGA mission areas, you know, this isn't niche. We have unclassified needs across massive parts of our mission, both that our workforce wants for that flexibility, but also that our customers are actually demanding. And so to meet these needs, there are technologies and processes that that we have to deliver and that we really talk about in that fifth section of the tech focus areas. So that's the 5-minute spiel on the tech focus areas. They are kind of what we're focusing on. And the other document that we published publicly is around how we go about doing that. And that's the NGA technology strategy. So let's shift to that one next. If you take away one theme, because I know I don't have slides, so, and it can be just a lot of talking in a row. So if you take away one thing, the theme of the tech strategy for NGA is that we must empower the builders and makers of geospatial technology. I've been at NGA about 3 years, and I recognized incredibly quickly that there are really, really talented people at this agency. And that's not just on the government side, that includes government and contractors, right? This is all of you. This is us together as a team, and it's not just one discipline, right? I used to be a software engineer. We have some amazing software engineers and software developers, but it's data scientists, analysts, imagery scientists, product managers, designers, researchers, technologists of all backgrounds and all kinds. There are incredible people here on the government and on the contractor side, but we make it way too hard to deliver products and to deliver software and technology for our mission. And so we have a fundamental belief, and it leads to the theme of the tech strategy around the importance of empowering the builders and makers of geospatial technology. And if we can do that, we talk about the amazing things that we will unleash and how we'll change the culture, change the agency, and change how we deliver on our mission. So that's the theme, right? Empower the builders and makers. And then from that theme, once again, there are 5 initiatives. I won't go through all 5 here. We're running a little behind, and I'm going to get us right back on track. But I'll talk about 2 of them, and you can read the doc for the rest of them. But the first initiative really comes from the theme. We try to be consistent in our messaging, and the first initiative is called Enabling Builders and Makers. And this comes from an understanding similar to modern software engineering in the tech focus areas, that if we're going to say software is core to our mission, then we have to build software in a modern way. And to do that, we need the right environment. And so creating the right environment is what this initiative around enabling builders and makers is all about. A thing that we see at NGA is that whenever we want to start something new, pretty much a team has to stand up or build their own tools and their own processes for how to deliver that capability. And this is expensive, and it takes time away from that team from focusing on shipping actual products that are meaningful to customers. And so getting to things like a common version control for the code we write, a common testing and deployment pipeline, letting teams focus on their unique capabilities and not these commodity components is incredibly important. And then similarly, to really empower our builders and makers, we need APIs, and we have to make them easy to use, whether that's a piece of software that NGA is building, whether that's a commercial product. We have to document our APIs in machine readable formats, and we have to make them accessible to other teams across the agency. And the other initiative I'll talk about is called Building with Customers. And that middle word, with, is the smallest in that sentence, obviously, but I think the most important. And this is an understanding and us saying that the only way to build technology that works is to build it with our customers. Too often in government, we build for our customer, right? We get a list of requirements, we write it all down, and then we go off and we build something, and we come back and we just know this does not work, period. The customer, the end user, whoever the actual person is that will use the product, they have to be a part of building every step of the way. And we have to make this the norm. We need balanced product teams with a diversity of skills, whether that's engineers, designers, product managers. We need those folks then working with program managers and project managers, right? We need this diversity of skills working together on these balanced teams to build with our customers and deliver on our mission like we need to, right? And so, I have a longer spiel on the tech strategy, but I'll leave it on this one there for now. I think it is worth saying, though, I recognize and we recognize that a lot of this isn't new. Hopefully folks this is how it works in the real world and in outside government. But we think it needs to be said because we recognize that we don't always do this well enough today in government and at NGA. And so having a document that talks about how we're closing the gap between the people building technology and the users of it, and that talks about us delivering this common environment for building software in a modern way, having a document that is written in public, signed by our director that says these things is important for us taking a stance that they really do matter and they're the direction we're moving. So again, like the tech strategy, maybe it's not brand new ideas, and that's probably an okay thing. It's really about, delivering useful software faster. It's about growing the technologists in our mission and empowering those folks and deeply understanding our users. These are not necessarily new ideas, but saying them, writing them down, having them signed out as our technology strategy, I think is important for how we move forward and how we change this agency. So that's a bit about those two documents. And then if Joey will leave me, 2 minutes at the end, I do want to talk just for a second about doubling down on the importance of diversity. And this is diversity in our workforce at NGA, diversity in who we work with, and it's diversity in thought and approaches and really just how we deliver on our mission. And I think Dr. Carter talked a bit about this in the last piece, right? As that diversity is necessary, but by itself it isn't sufficient. We need an inclusive culture where we listen to those diverse voices. And then I thought the point on belonging was made incredibly well, and I can't make it better. So I'll just reiterate kind of the importance of that, in that it's not just about diversity, but really about creating that inclusive culture and getting to that belonging. One thing I often hear too much of that bothers me is these two small words of just and only. These 4-letter words that, it's I'm just a contractor. I've only been at NGA for 2 years, right? As reasons people feel like their voice should matter less than someone else's, and that's wrong, period, right? We need different voices. We need different perspectives. We need you all at the table to deliver on our mission. If there is a third document that I'm not going to talk about, but our director's intent, it's on our website as well. And in it, our director talks about this GEOINT revolution that we're in, and the need for NGA to lead this revolution. And from that, I think there is a recognition that what got us this far, our technology, our processes, our approaches, has done some incredibly important things for our country, but that they are not enough to deliver on our future, right? And it's only through new ways of working, new ways of thinking, of partnering, of really being, that we can lead this revolution. So we need you, we need your ideas, your approaches. This really matters for NGA. It matters, honestly, for our entire national security. And I know, Dale was talking about this as he closed out his section, right? On the government side, especially in the IC, we don't always make it the easiest to know what we're doing and know how to work together. But please know from the senior levels of NGA that we deeply understand the need to work differently and to lead this revolution, and that you all will play an incredibly important role in making that happen. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for staring at my face on the screen for a little bit as I didn't have slides, and really just excited to see what we can do all do together and to be a part of this day. So thank you. And Joey, I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Alex. That was very insightful. Also sprinkled in a little bit of life lessons also. There's a lot in there. So we really appreciate that. So before getting started with our next pitch from Spatial GIS, we'll take a short break, and we have one more after that, and we will get to our lunch break. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I first would like to thank the staff of NSIN and NGA for the opportunity to present our concept to help better data management needs at NGA. Today, I'll present our concept on work and earn. I would like to give an overview of Spatial GIS. Our company was established back in 2016. Our leadership team has experience in both the intelligence community and the federal government in supporting in the fields of data management. We provide 4 levels of support: 1 in data and geospatial support, data analytics, training, and field operations and emergency services. Let me explain how Spatial GIS aligns to the NGA technical focus areas. We see the opportunity to support NGA's management efforts as a high priority of our firm. Our leadership possesses experience with data maturity and technical knowledge of data programs from our experience in the DHS Data Working Group. We bring a wealth of knowledge and best practices to the intelligence space. We can support analysts in ways to discover operational ready data, helping improving process of data reuse, championing the need for cross-domain uses of data across the agency to support creations of data models to support machine learning. As the data strategy states at NGA, it creates and manages data, but the curation of that data is very important. We see it as a strategic asset and the heartbeat of the organization. We know that there is also a cost of having data, but equally there's a greater cost of having bad data as well. And we would like to come up with ways to energize the stewards by creating a whole community approach in data management. So let's take a glance as how we see things from a focal lens on data management. On the left, you'll see how most people outside looking in sees data management from a sense of it being quite simple. Sound pretty easy, huh? Now let's look to the right, inside looking out. Hard to imagine the complexity of getting data right. Puzzling. Data management is truly a culture change. Let's look at the three things that make data management hard at NGA and other IC organizations. We are taught at the start of our career that there is a need to know. This sometimes makes collaboration harder. Let's look at the level below. We are very good at the analytical part, but not so much with the data governance. We need both to work together to ensure that we have good data. And lastly, let's look deeper into a photo. You will see data silos. We know that data must be shared and simplified for good operational use. These are true obstacles, but with good data management and data governance, change can be done collectively. I would like to introduce our concept of work and earn in data management. The adoption of a reward management system could help contribute to the agency's data culture. Employees enjoy being in a caring community with like-minded individuals. The idea of being rewarded for going above and beyond and also helping their peers and meeting their own goals can enhance the data management program. Habits. We all know it's very easy to pick them up, but very hard to break them. Let's look at the 3 habit formation chart. We see that the reminder, which is a cue and a trigger that starts the habit. Then let's see the rotation, meaning the action that you take. And then finally, the reward you gain by the habit. Coupled with a positive reward, the next time you will see a great change in a new and positive habit. Rewarding for change is key. Gamification, GameFi, is a process of using gaming mechanisms and elements and principles and applying them to non-gaming content to engage users' outcome. For example, goals. By having someone complete a prescribed task or action, they are rewarded. Education. Giving individuals and users of the community access to learn from others in a whole community is important. Gamification is currently being adapted even now in the blockchain. So how can we develop and implement gamification and a reward management system at NGA to support data management? Here are a few of our suggestions. Creation of a scoreboard. As in our previous slide, users can increase their levels and ranks by completing tasks. A scoreboard would show who's winning and inspire users to work harder and to have fun in the process. This is also a way to allow us to capture matrix of change that often does not get tracked to help us measure objectives. Creating a whole community training and policy repository keeps everything centralized, but always allows the community to grow its content. Data literacy, team building, improving data, and submitting data issues all can be integrated into a rewards management system from other existing systems of record while still rewarding individuals. Here are some examples of benefits rewards for employees, such as establishing a data proficiency badge program, time off awards for top leaders on the scoreboard, having SMEs having data talks, and then also prioritizing selection for data and GIS conferences. So let's see how this works. See, Sarah is an accountant. She's been working with data and working with a few other data sources. While working, she discovers a major discrepancy in multiple databases that she supports with her annual report. She reports the issue to the working group. The working group identifies the issue and offers her points for her submission. Let's see how this looks for Sarah on her dashboard and her score. Now, lastly, let's look at Kevin. He works at SNT. He is required to take Intro to Data and Management Principles per his new HR policy in his work series. Once Kevin completes his course, he receives points as well, but the ability to display his badge in his email signature to show the community the proficiency in data management. Let's see how this works for Kevin. We now see the points as we saw with Sarah. And again, I would like to take the time out to once again thank you for your time and for this opportunity. Pending any questions, this is the conclusion of our brief.
Okay, thank you very much, Kendra. We appreciate your submission and your conversation. So next we're going to transition to our C-Edge group. We're going to take a short break, get them set up, and we'll be right back with our last segment before our lunch and tech break.
Hi, this is Shekhar Prabhakar, CEO of C-Edge Incorporated. I would like to take a moment to thank NGA and NSIN for giving us an opportunity to present our capabilities, products, as well as innovative solutions regarding C-Edge. We are a St. Louis-based company, and we are very proud to call ourselves STL-made. We've been in business for about 16 years now, supporting federal and as well as commercial clients. We are appraised at CMMI level 3, and we also provide some staff augmentation services. This is what has helped us to ensure that we have the best talent within our company to support our customers. Our mission statement, I would like to say we always pride ourselves to be a true partner to our clients in providing reliable and scalable solutions for our partners. It's not just the large companies and agencies that we support, but we care for our small partners too. We have provided them with cutting-edge solutions and open source solutions as well, where they could compete against their competitors in market space very well with a low budget. Our vision is about being a true partner to our customers, a true reliable partner to our customers. And over the years, we have always watched out for our customers, not just our engagement, but constantly looking for ways to provide them a value. The values and guiding principles for us has always been the customer focus, open communications, and accountability. This is what has helped us empower our employees so that they are able to provide best possible solutions to our customers. Our services and products is something I would like to discuss about now. Our core capabilities include enterprise architecture, agile software development, data-related solutions, as well as several other capabilities listed here, including virtual and augmented reality. We have some deep subject matter experts who have helped us build these capabilities or develop these capabilities within CEdge that has helped us offer this capability to the customers over the years. The staff augmentation model is something we came up with. This is not only to help large federal customers or large companies, but also the small companies as well, so that these engagement models have really provided them with a return of investment. I would like to discuss about our innovative products. When data visualization was becoming popular, we focused on those type of tools. That's when we built the C Data Edge, working with another customer, another partner, and we developed the C Data Edge. C Data Edge has a very good visual analyzing capabilities. And then after C Data Edge, we started focusing on C Model Edge because we have seen an opportunity to go ahead and build something for future, which involves data automation. So this is how we always look for supporting our customers. What drives us is about our customer success. For example, here today, the reason we are discussing about innovative solutions is to help agencies like NGA support their mission. So our customer success is key to us, and that's what we focus on. Relationships mean a lot to us, and sustained partnership has been vital for our growth, and we have still retained some of the customers we have had since inception. So our customer loyalty has been a key factor for us. Workforce diversity, customer focus, and open communication, these are all key organizational values for us. This is what has helped us empower employees and provide the best services to our customers. So getting to our deep bench subject matter experts, we've got some great industry leaders. We also have published authors and subject matter experts on our board as well as in our company. So our employees have a reach back to all the subject matter experts. That is how we are able to deliver best possible services to our customer. We also specialize in enterprise architecture, as I talked about it. I would like to pause here for a moment to talk about our enterprise capabilities. When we get in and when we work with customers, we are able to look at their blueprint and develop various viewpoints and establish baseline for our customers, which also helps them look at their strategic growth plan and CIO roadmaps as well as CTO roadmaps so that we can work with them and be able to plan for what they want to achieve in future and align our enterprise architecture capabilities very well. The next thing I would like to focus on is our data management capabilities, because this is where we are spending most of our time now to build the next generation tool. Over the years, we have developed these capabilities within CEdge. And as we were able to have this talent within CEdge, we started focusing on building tools as well. That's how when data visualization was becoming popular, we moved to C Data Edge. As you can see, business intelligence, intelligent automation, breakthrough analytics, and artificial intelligence, these have been some of the key features we have baked into C Data Edge. It had a lot of KPI-related information, heat maps, and whatnot, so that the customer could focus on it and make some informed decisions. But we've seen an opportunity to move into data automation space because currently there are many data visualization tools. So based on the information that we have with our C Data Edge, and also an opportunity that we have seen for the next generation tool, we started working on Sea Model Edge. The Sea Model Edge is an effort that we are focusing on with our mentor, Booz Allen Hamilton, in developing this tool, which should be able to address some of the hard problems for agencies like NGA and several other companies as well. This does have a model engine, a scheduler, as well as meter status monitors, so that you can cleanse data and schedule the data. It does not need any human intervention, and you're able to make data available to the customers, which is up to date and has all the data conformance. The data, this is data agnostic. It could be hosted on any platform, like the different cloud platform. We're starting off with AWS, and we'll make it available on other platforms as well. I would like to go over some of our client list. This includes federal and defense customers, including NGA. We support state clients. We also have several companies that we support. Some of the small companies that we have supported have been acquired, or they've moved up, and now they're being traded on New York Stock Exchange. This is an area where I would like to take pride about what our employees do within Sea-Edge. They have been phenomenal. That is why we were able to achieve this kind of recognition in industry, and we have been recognized for our innovation, for being a partner within the community. So we take a lot of pride in our employees. We also have an exceptional board that I would like to share. This includes Scott McNeely, co-founder of Sun Microsystems, Jerry Kent, and also NGA Hall of Fame, Steve Wallach as well. These leaders have provided some valuable advice, and the common thread that ties all of us is to not only support the customer at our very best, but to be a great community partner. Finally, I would like to stop here and share that Sea-Edge is here to provide innovative solutions and products, and we have all the capabilities in-house to develop the products. This is my contact information. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. We also want to work with all the partners within NGA so that we all together can support this nation and protect the security of the nation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate that, Sea-Edge. Next, we're going to be heading to a break. Feel free to provide yourself sustenance. Feel free to walk around, shake it off, do some squats. And we will probably be back around, let's see where we are, because 1:15. No, we said at 1:15. Let me see, Allie.
Yes, 1:15.
All right, 1:15. All right, thank you all very much. We'll see you at 1:15. Okay, and we're back. Thank you all for sticking with us. We are excited to kind of get to this next portion of our program. One of the important things, as we mentioned, we try to do at NSIN is bring in new problem solvers into the defense ecosystem. Along that comes with collaborations between venture capital, academics, and the defense group. So right now we have Andy Deering, who's going to be joining and speaking with us. Andy Deering is a geospatial entrepreneur and is the president of Spatial STL Advisors. Prior to Spatial STL Advisors, he has served as the CEO of Boundless Spatial, a leading startup in the geospatial industry. After leading the organization over 200% growth in a 2-year period, he led the exit of Boundless to Planet Labs, Inc. in 2019. Andy serves as a lead for the GeoFutures Initiative, general partner at Cultivation Capital, advisor at St. Louis University's GeoSLU program, co-chair for the United States Geospatial-Intelligence Foundation St. Louis Area Working Group, and serves on several startup and nonprofit boards. So Andy, thank you and welcome to the program, and I'll turn it over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Joey, and thank you, to the NSIN family for allowing me to present GeoFutures and geospatial and what's going on in the St. Louis ecosystem. And so, for those of you who are unfamiliar, we'll be giving you kind of a preview of some of the things we have going on here and some of the initiatives and how it relates to growing the ecosystem here, but doing it in a different way. And so, one of the things that if you're unaware of St. Louis, I thought, hey, let's put a quote in here from Director Sharp at NGA. This is something that he tweeted out during one of the sessions. There is a lot of things that are going on here, and this is there's more and more that's happening here in the ecosystem in many ways for organizations, whether you're a startup, an academic institution, a large company, or just an individual that's looking to find out more about what's going on in St. Louis. There's many different activities and areas and innovation that's happening in every single corner, and especially in support of our federal partners and what the work that's going on at the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency. But this all didn't happen by chance, and there was somewhat of a plan that happened around that work. So as you'll see here, and we'll kind of take a few steps back, but I thought I'd start at the front here is the St. Louis region, and we've been mobilizing ourselves around creating what's known as a geospatial industry cluster around here, helping grow and percolate the things that are needed to grow a thriving ecosystem to where companies can grow and build, where talent and workforce can be developed equitably, and where where deep research and innovation can happen. Do we have all those ingredients today? No, and we'll talk about that later on. But what you're seeing is an alignment of activities, whether it be businesses, academic institutions, regional economic leaders, regional government leaders, statewide government leaders that are saying, hey, this is really interesting, this is different, and we're here to really support it. And so we really wanted to provide this as an opportunity to brief you on what we're doing and what success looks like around this initiative and what's going on in St. Louis. So the catalyst for this, and if many of you have known, St. Louis has been a hub around geospatial for several years, many years, and even dating back to even some of the support that the early days of the Defense Mapping Agency and some of the aeronautical support agencies that during World War II, it was all done in St. Louis. And for many years, we've been the home of the West Campus of the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency. And primarily, they operated, and have operated downtown, right south, kind of by the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. But it wasn't until the 2015, 2016 timeframe where you started seeing more of this partnership that was happening. Director Long really started the work and saying, hey, we've got to be innovative, we've got to think differently, we've got to be ahead of the curve, and that carried really forward with Director Cardillo. And when Director Cardillo came in, in many of the partnerships that happened at that point in time, the one thing that was happening, and it was during a lot of the consolidation of federal resources, was a new campus opening up, and now called the next NGA West headquarters. And NGA selected St. Louis, the city of St. Louis. There was many other areas that were around that had some sites that were offered opportunity for that, but it wasn't until NGA selected St. Louis City and a $1.75 billion investment that a lot of organizations like, wait, NGA, St. Louis, this is very different. But that was a catalyst. But the area that they moved into and the neighborhoods that have been moved into had been an area that's been underserved for more than 50 years. And so the opportunity needed to be shared by all. And so that was a catalyst for creating an equitable framework to help support and enable equitable growth in the area, not just supporting big businesses and organizations, but supporting the entire region, all the folks in the neighborhoods and everybody around, and everybody having equal opportunity. This kind of gives a timeline of that, and I won't go through all the dots, but this was an effort that was from the St. Louis Area Working Group and what USGIF did, to what you see going forward, in saying, hey, what's the opportunity that's around here? Is it just NGA support, or is there something else that's here? And a lot of the economic development leaders, a lot of the groups and organizations around said, wow, we don't know what geospatial is, but we think this feels familiar. Well, the reason it felt familiar was 20 years ago, we put together a plan around biotech, plant, and life sciences, to where now today we have many thriving organizations, lots of venture capital, many startups, large businesses around and supporting that. We want to create that same pattern and pathway for geospatial and growing those same opportunities. The one thing that's different is all of our outcomes and measures have an element of diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of that, and growing jobs and growing organizations and creating opportunities for everybody equitably. So the one thing that was launched in June of 2020 was the GeoFuture Strategic Roadmap. And as part of that roadmap effort, it said, hey, here's the things that you all do well. You support geospatial, you have a great nucleus around supporting the federal government agency, you have great academic institutions, but there's some areas that we really need to help to grow this into a lasting, sustaining ecosystem. You need to scale up your talent, you need to raise the innovation capacity to keep startups, great startup capacity, but to keep startups here in the St. Louis area, accelerating entrepreneurship, and really branding and positioning what is geospatial, not just to the folks in St. Louis, but beyond, nationally, internationally, to say, hey, I have a geospatial problem, or I'm interested in location sciences. How do I plug in? Branding ourselves and putting ourselves out there with a flag and saying, come here, you can grow and build with us. But with that said, there's a very specific function here is we've got to build and grow and lift up, working with the neighborhoods and with the city of St. Louis to grow that region equitably and not just continue to force and push people out and not provide pathways for the citizens in the neighborhoods and for everybody coming in here to have an opportunity. So as part of that roadmap, and you'll see the specific outcomes and measures, I'm not going to read all of this for you, but when we talk about scaling up talent, browse over to outcome measures. It is, hey, we're going to look at how much talent that we're generating, but what we're going to look at and measure success by is job placements of participants by race, ethnicity, gender, and place of where those residents are. When you look at raising innovation capacity, it's not just, hey, we're growing up companies, and yes, we need to provide resources to help support grants and mentorship and organizations like NSIN and others to help support that, but we also need to look at growing entrepreneurship programs for Black and Brown entrepreneurs, because that's an area that we were deficient in and we were behind national averages. And we're honest with that. And those are things that we need to invest in as a region to support that. Likewise, again, going down through all of these, the one aspect is there is a specific effort that's going on with regards to connecting NGA, connecting the city of St. Louis and the residents, working together on a connected plan to where everybody can kind of understand what's going on with the NGA and how NGA is growing, but also have opportunities and know of opportunities to help, entrepreneurship, if it's in geospatial or if it's just in, supporting businesses that might support residents that move around the NGA campus and resources that they might need, or jobs that might be able to open up around that. And so a lot of the work is done with the Project Connect in the city of St. Louis around that. So you see that with number 4 there. And then lastly is we're going to continue to promote not only what geospatial is, but how it applies and helps solve some of the real world challenges and problems, whether it relates to social equity, whether it relates to climate, or many of the most pressing challenges that we have today that are facing us, what we have going on. And so we want to be that leader where people want to plug in and they want to build and grow and solve some really complex problems with us here in the region. So the great part is what we did with this roadmap was it's a roadmap, it's a report, and it wasn't a, hey, we need to build a lot of things, it's we need to scale a lot of things that are already existing here. If you look back 20 years ago, there wasn't a venture capital organization that was here helping seed and feed early stage startups. There wasn't actually any innovation centers like what you see today with T-Rex downtown, with Cortex, or with 39 North in our ag tech districts. You didn't have any of those resources. You didn't have the Danforth Plant Life Sciences Research Center that they had to build and grow. We have those capabilities grown here already, but it's now scaling those up to meet the demand that we foresee happening, not only in the next couple of years, but the next 5 to 15, 20 years that are going to happen. And so this is a plan, not a short-term plan. This is a long-term plan where we are going to see many, many organizations grow and scale, and many opportunities for a lot of organizations to grow with us. So these are a couple of the headliners you see, whether with regards to innovation startup capacity that's grown here, whether it be innovation places like the Moonshot Labs downtown at the T-Rex building that NGA is sponsoring, to venture capital funds that are specifically focused on early stage geospatial startups. So that's, again, helping support that. But that's, again, startup investment, helping entrepreneurship, creating opportunities. But the other thing that's happened is organizations have started aligning their missions to that roadmap and started to create opportunities for everybody in the region. So Rung for Women and launching up a program specifically tailored towards women that are looking to get into this tech field and seeing opportunities and getting them jobs in great paying jobs to support the NGA mission and others, learning geospatial tradecraft. You have Gateway Global that's learning and working with K through 12 and helping provide mentorships and directly placing those students in a workforce development center that's going to be opened up right adjacent to the NGA campus and providing those students and high schoolers and others that are in the neighborhoods opportunities directly with NGA. You have the partnerships with the university systems, with University of Missouri St. Louis and Harris-Stowe State, growing and creating that STEM capacity, growing, creating our tech talent. And then you have organizations like Maxar, who basically have said, hey, we are going to grow our talent and we're going to do it in an equitable way. And St. Louis has the resources and is growing the resources in the way that we want to build and grow the talent that we have here. So the roadmap's out there. And it's not that we're dictating or driving all of that there. Well, the roadmap provides is opportunities for, and I almost consider it a big receptacle or a big power bar where people can plug in and start growing and going here in St. Louis. So these are a few opportunities, a few headliners. I would say that this is a subset of 5 to 10 of those major headliners that are going on. And week after week, we continue to see many more organizations that are lining up and aligning their mission to what the needs are and the gaps, filling those gaps that we saw and those opportunities that we have in growing the geospatial ecosystem here in St. Louis. So this is my last slide, and I just wanted to provide you, if you want to engage or how to plug in, we do have a website that's there. And if you look up GeoFutures, there will be a website there that can provide you more information. But I also encourage you to follow us on social media where we provide, announcements that are going out or opportunities or even job opportunities. As well as LinkedIn, and we do a lot of posts there. But with that said, I'm going to actually throw it back over to Joey, but I really do appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you in St. Louis.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. We appreciate your comments and thoughts, and it's a wonderful initiative. Next up, we're going to have our friends at Foresight present, and we're going to take a short break to pull them up, and we'll keep going.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Wilson. I am the co-founder of Foresight. Foresight is a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. We are working in enterprise wireless power management, born out of the pandemic and our relationship with the NSIN DIA FedTech program. So wireless power transfer is employed where interconnecting wires between the source and the load are inconvenient, hazardous, or unfeasible. The applications of this technology can range from low power home electronic devices to industrial applications. You can imagine a world where electricity can be supplied without a tethered power source, where industrial machines, robotics, electronic vehicles, and accessories are all powered in a way where they don't rely on a specific battery life or you have to change that battery. This technology is here and it's going to modernize our lives, and you may see it in your day-to-day applications with things like your phone. What we're working on now is the ability to unify these applications and deploy them in an enterprise fashion. And how we're going to do that is through the most paramount thing that we have is that's our team. It's myself, our principal engineer, Dylan Brophy, who is our resident genius and is very skilled in embedded systems engineering, integrations, SUAS, as well as all of the languages that are associated with engineering code as well as blockchain. We also have Chris Crenshaw, who is a former Army aviator, special operations officer, and now is in SUAS SME. We have a partnership through our cooperative research and development agreement with the Navy. We've been working with the Navy hand in hand, week to week, since August of 2020 on this project. Our mission is to enable electric autonomy. And what does that mean? That means it's enabling wireless power devices to all work together with their receiving elements in a way that's automated without wires or battery exchange. Further, wireless power technology has the potential to bring energy to austere and hard to reach areas without traditional electrical infrastructure in order to power industrial Internet of Things. This is the enterprise wireless power management system of the future. The market research firm IHS stated there were approximately 25 million wireless charging devices that were shipped in 2017, and they estimate that 2 billion wireless power devices will be in use by 2025. Foresight's Stratus software will unify these wireless power industrial Internet of Things devices for public sector and commercial use. And here you can see the different types of wireless power technologies that are out there. From the energy grids to EV fleet management, drones, robotics, and individual accessories. And how do we tie all of this stuff together through what we're building? In this use case, you can see how MROD, which is building energy grid wireless power technology, integrates with EV wireless charging, as well as the accessories and robotics that are within an AWS fulfillment center. And what we're doing is building out that unification platform from a command and control perspective, from a data collection perspective, as well as data libraries and APIs for third-party ERP planning, for example. This is an operation mission control as a service, but we capture a ton of data on the back end. And with that data, we can do many things with it. We can provide it to our partners who can then look at how they modernize and iterate on the hardware that they're providing, from predictive maintenance, root cause analytics, R&D efficiencies, and correlation analysis, and tie that into their ERP platform challenges. Our beachhead are drones and robotics. And we can see why. The Army and the Marine Corps plan to equip every 10 troops with a squadcopter, and they're investing about $1.9 billion into that effort. Now, the problem with small UAS and squadcopters as a term is that they only have a 20 to 30 minute flight span. And we can increase that flight span almost 10x with the wireless power solutions that we're working with currently. And we can build a roadmap to those technologies through RF maturing in the future. So we can take that fleet that costs $1.9 billion, increase its efficiency and lifespan in an operational context, which also increases the value of that investment. From a solution aspect, you can see from right to left of where the power source is, how that integrates with our partners' hardware, and it's designed to then capture that and do edge computing, as well as our interactions with ATAC and how we capture that in the cloud in order for us to do the analytics on that. How this began was with the wireless power modality and the mathematics that the Navy put together. They had an excess energy creation on ships, and they were trying to understand how they can use that excess energy. And they created a way to do that wirelessly through directive energy. And what we've done is taken that initial code that was built in NSWC Crane and MATLAB, and then transferred that to Python, and then we're building out around that capability on AWS. And what that analytics does is it calculates frequency, transmit power, distance, transmitter aperture, receiver aperture, altitude, weather efficiencies, collection efficiencies, atmospheric efficiencies, and you can see where this GIS component plays a big part and how RF, directive energy, plays in with its environment. What we've done is taken this model, taken their code, and are now building out this capability, which is now our MVP. We've constructed this border security use case where you can see that there's a fleet or a swarm of drones that are interacting, and we've taken that, our partners' data, and taken real data from drones, and we're modeling and simulating this. The other piece of this is not just the modeling and simulation of how the drones and the wireless power technology are interacting with its environment, but we can also operationalize this in a real way. And we've demonstrated this recently. This dashboard is the operational graphic user interface and asset management piece of this. We're visualizing the data of the drone and wireless power transmission within changing weather environments, and we're enabling the global model and simulation data capture. Our partners in Reach Labs, we've taken how their wireless power goes from about 10 to 100 meters and how that interacts and that energy is rectified into the drone's battery. This builds out components and scenario-based libraries, infrastructure that is capable of producing structured and unstructured data storage for future AI and ML analytics. To date, we've been working with Esri on the mapping side, NOAA for the weather storage, and we've incorporated an IoT AWS Greengrass component for the edge computing piece. We've also built out a custom ATAC plugin for this. And with that custom ATAC plugin, thanks to our friends at T-Rex and the GeoC grant, we've been able to take these analytics and put them into our ATAC plugin for overall command and control integrations with a cursor on target functionality, IP radio integration, and Stratus connectivity on the edge, as well as a custom UI UX functionality within the Samsung Galaxy S20 tactical end user device. This brings the wireless power capability from a conceptual or one-on-one integration to scale and allows that to be brought to the battlefield in a real way for a command and control structure. You can see here of how this integration works and how we can incorporate our partners' hardware technology into things like vehicles, as well as static environments, such as a patrol base or border security type of roles. We're also exploring this not just for the DoD and national security environments, but also for local law enforcement and first responders. And you can see how we can also incorporate a pad charging element where budgets may not be able to acquire something like our partners in Reach Labs and the capability that they bring to the table, but we can still incorporate a wireless pad charging environment for these types of functionalities and for these capabilities that we can roll out for folks that really need the capability but can't afford the SpaceX version of what this really means. We look at our partnerships kind of in the way that a lot of other folks in St. Louis are looking at this, is that ecosystem as a strategy, as a business strategy, and how we look at this from a core belief is how an ecosystem builds and deploys an industry. You can see where we've come here and where we're going. And what we're looking for is more partners to bring on to our ecosystem to bring this to reality. Thank you everyone for your time. Appreciate NSIN for having us, and looking forward to hearing from you later. Thanks.
Fantastic, Michael. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time. So next up, we're going to have Claim Academy. We're going to have a short break and bring them on board, and we will commence with the pitches.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this privilege. I'd like to first say thank you to NSIN as well as the NGA for this opportunity. My name is Ola Ayeni, and I'm here to talk about the future of work. Okay, so Ola Ayeni is my name. I'm the founder of Claim Academy. What is Claim Academy? Claim Academy is a software, geospatial, and cybersecurity coding bootcamp that is located here in St. Louis, Missouri. We were established in 2014. And what we focus on is to take someone who has little or no background as a software developer, a geospatial professional, or a cybersecurity person, and in a short 12 to 20 weeks, turn them into a developer. Because we've been successful in doing that, we are ranked one of the top best coding boot camps in America and top 54 in the world, with a 4.6 out of 5-star rating. So we've been doing this for several years, where we get people from zero to hero. Today, what I'd like to quickly focus on is on the future of work. So the NGA's technology needs and focus areas are 5. And one of the things you will first notice is out of these 5, 4 of them is all about technology. In fact, without technology, the NGA cannot move forward. But when it comes to the future of work, our greatest asset is people. People in different functional areas for the NGA and its partners. So with these 5 areas of tech focus, there are 9 areas that you need support solutions there. Again, all these 9 areas are all related to technology, from artificial intelligence to deep learning to integrity and security, and also to data management. Every single one of them is technology. And without technology training, we cannot respond to the threats and the needs of the 21st century. So, all solution support areas require what we call the essential body of work talent, which means training has to be done in a way where every single person has all that they need in one training. Not that you go somewhere, you get a little bit here. If you go online now and you're looking at the NGA website and you start looking at the jobs that are being posted by NGA as well as its partners, a lot of people do not qualify. And the reason is they probably have 30 or 40% of the requirement of the job, and the remaining 60% they don't have. They probably have to go to different places to learn this. What if we can bring everything to one place with hands-on outcome-based learning and make it available to people? So that's what we call the essential body of work talent. Now, what's the problem that we have? First, we all know that there is a huge shortage of people with the required skills. We know that. That's a big thing that's been happening for years, and I'll talk more about that. Another problem that we know is that the current trainings are led by academia, and they're not industry-led or informed. And the NGA is trying to work around that by creating partners and different partnerships with industry particularly. And the third problem that we have is that academic modules take many years to complete. Many of them are ambiguous and can be theoretical. So how do we respond to the needs and the threats of the 21st century? We all heard when the CTO of the NGA, Alex Lohr, was just speaking. He said the threats that we face, they come to us
almost like in seconds. These are things that they're experiencing right now. So in order for us to respond to these problems, we have to respond now. So how bad is the problem? First, we know, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, there were 1.4 million unfilled tech-related jobs in 2020. Just imagine that. 1.4 million positions out there. That's huge. The US will lose $162 billion due to tech and tech-related shortages in a few years if this pace continues. That's a lot of loss when you think about it. But our biggest asset is people. So what's the solution? Our solution to the future of work is GeoSkill. GeoSkill is the first innovative platform that delivers 12 to 20 weeks hands-on outcome-based training programs in GIS technologies. That is one place, one curriculum, everything the NGA personnel needs is delivered to them anywhere and anytime. GeoSkill is a skill-based GEOINT informed training delivered via video, e-learning, hands-on, anywhere and anytime. So it makes it agile, it makes it responsive. Somebody can be in Kuwait, in a barrack, and he has to learn certain skills. You don't have to fly into the US to teach him that or her. That can be provided in real time with hands-on provisions where he is in Kuwait. Another person may be in Japan in real time, can learn whatever we need to learn. And these type of training can be changed and can be dynamic in real time. So if we have to add a module or change something, that can be done in real time to respond to the threats and the needs of the 21st century. So next, the current solution in the market and what Claim Academy solution is, difference is in two areas. One, when you compare traditional education, which is great, traditional education is great, but in order for us to respond to the threats and the needs of the 21st century, which is rapidly changing every few weeks, our response has to be now, not 4 years from now. Our response has to be real in real time, because the threats that we face is not in 4 years, it's now. So it takes 4 to 5 years for completion in traditional education, and it costs $30,000 to $300,000 for a 4-year program. With Claim's Future of Work program, it takes 12 to 20 weeks of completion, and it's under $20,000. So we are not only saving taxpayers money or the NGA partners, we're able to deliver programs, training that is ready in all the 5 functional areas of the NGA in real time, and at the same time, save them money. Now, let's look at the future of work and how this is different. This content training can be delivered shorter, in a more rapid training cycles. It's hands-on, it's skill-based via various channels. And we can optimize people anywhere in real time, where we provide it in an agile, outcome-based focus, competence-based learning, targeting the NGA tech focus areas in a collaborative, personalized, and also we can provide credentials. An example of how we can make this happen very quickly is this. For example, we have every year there are over 200,000 men and women who separate from the military. These guys are already have clearance, and they have a desire to serve their country. We can take those individuals, we can reskill them very quickly and get them ready. We can module this training into skill bridge program. We can module it as an on-the-job training. We can provide it as work and earn or in apprenticeship. These can all be provided in real time again, because the threats that we face is not in 4 years, it's now. And we have to respond now in the 21st century. So who do we use for this type of training, since we have the curriculum and we have experience doing this? Instructors and mentors are subject matter experts with industry experience, and also they are the best in their field of practice. That is how the geospatial tradecraft has to move on in those 5 areas of the geospatial industry. So my name is Ola Ayeni. I'm with Claim Academy. And primarily our ask is that we have these curriculums and this training and this experience, and we'd like to partner with the NGA and its training partners to deliver the future of work that makes it easy for them to get anyone ready in real time for training. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ola. And I did not realize that everyone's wearing bow ties today. I spent the last 10 minutes trying to do it, and I have some work to do. I forgot. So I'll be prepared next time. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, Joey. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. So next up, we will have Enabled Intelligence, who will step up and give their presentation. And we'll go on a break and bring them up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Kan. I'm the founder and CEO of Enabled Intelligence, and I'm honored and very pleased to be here with you all today. I understand I'm the last presentation that you get to see, so I will go ahead and say saving the best for last, although I got to see a bunch of the previous ones, and I know they were all pretty darn awesome. So I'm going to try to bring us out with a bang and hopefully energize the rest of the group for the rest of your day. So at Enabled Intelligence, we are a small business very much focused on providing accurate and secure data labeling and annotation, primarily for artificial intelligence development for the government. We employ a fully integrated team, including of subject matter experts, veterans, and persons with disabilities. So what we do, in summary, is we take raw data. What we have here is a synthetic aperture radar image of a Chinese rocket launch site, and we turn that raw data into valuable training and test data to develop artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies. Where did this come from? How did we start this company? The company's been around for 2 years now, and I started after learning about a bunch of different things when I used to run federal programs at SRI International, the R&D think tank, and a previous computer vision company that was an EQTEL Portco and did a lot of work for the government. But the US government, including NGA and lots of corporations, are investing in AI. It's the thing that's going to save all of our bacon and solve lots of problems. But the US government needs access to high quality labeled data. The US government currently makes more data than anyone else: GEOINT, signals intelligence, satellite imagery, thermal imagery, audio, text, and the like. But that data needs to be labeled to be able to be ingested into machine learning processes to make artificial intelligence technologies and models. But the federal government needs that data to be secure. It's highly secure, even classified at times. Specialized expertise. It's one thing to label stop signs for a driverless vehicle. It's another one to label MiG-29s versus MiG-31s in SAR satellites. We're not going to offshore that work to China or India or Kenya or Brazil like most of the private sector does. And unlike, if we get an annotation wrong for Google Maps, we get lost. We get an annotation wrong on a targeting or pattern of life annotation, very bad things can happen. The missions of the government are very critical and need highly accurate data. What you see here is one of our actual annotation work products. We're doing some satellite imagery of foreign aircraft. So most of the commercial sector, when they're doing large driverless vehicles, autonomous vehicles, social media tagging, and the like, they use offshore low-skilled labor that's not accessible and shouldn't be accessible or allowable for U.S. government use. The accuracy of their work is pretty poor. They don't understand U.S. government needs or the mission needs of that data. It's often crowdsourced, so people are doing this on the side, kind of gig economy type stuff of lower skill levels. Lots of data security, privacy, and classification risks, and very little subject matter experts on what the government is using AI for. Back to my stop signs versus MiG-29 issue. But Americans with disabilities, specifically those who are neurodiverse, on the autism spectrum and neurodiverse, they are an underemployed but highly effective workforce to do annotation and data labeling. They're often a forgotten workforce, but they have strong abilities in their non-disabled senses. So, for example, we have folks who are blind who are doing audio data. We have folks who are deaf or hearing impaired doing visual data. And the neurodiverse workforce is detail-oriented, puzzle-solving, highly technically proficient, and somewhat asocial, which lines up exactly with the type of work that data annotation and labeling is. And veterans, including, of course, disabled veterans, have extreme subject matter expertise. They're used to looking at these images. They understand what the use cases of this data is for. And so they bring a tremendous amount of subject matter expertise to us as a company, even if they're often forgotten as a workforce by much of the rest of the economy. So at Enable Intelligence, we enable the full AI ML pipeline, everything from raw data through AI model development. So data conditioning, curation. Here's a bunch of data. We don't know which is, much of it is OpenSea. Some may have votes in it. Can you clean that, curate it, condition it so it can be ingested into a labeling software or platform? We then label and annotate that data, sometimes very complex nested ontologies, not just plain person vote, or we do foreign language, we do deep, everything from it's a plane to fixed wing to jet to foreign to Russian to MiG-29 to MiG-29 painted to look like a Ukrainian one, whatever it may be, and all sorts of different data types, audio, text, many forms of geospatial, lots of imagery. We currently have programs in thermal imagery analysis, EO, electro-optical, SAR, audio, and text. We can create training and training data and test data development. So we can actually create training libraries for AI development and test libraries for AI development with ground truth. We can run those through machine learning processes and even develop AI models. So we do it, basically give us raw data, and we can turn out models at the other end or do any part of this in between. Most of our work is in data labeling and annotation and in training and test data development. So again, those service offerings, as I said, the annotation that we do, we manage all that data so we can work. Our SCIF opens in April, but we manage the data through AWS or other cloud services or other ways of accessing securely the data, sometimes hard. We even drive to customers and pick up hard drives. We'll curate it. We do a tremendous amount of QA because we focus primarily on highly accurate and precise data annotation, creating real ground truth or real meaningful training data sets. We have a very strong QA process. And what we can also do is, we've done this for the government, the government may be trying 5 or 6 different AI models that they're getting from third parties, and they want to test those on meaningful operational data the government has, but those AI companies cannot support handling classified or secure data. So what we can do is test those on operational or real government data that's been annotated for ground truth and provide that feedback and that test results back to the government so it can make solid technical and acquisition decisions. Our highly trained workforce, there's a picture of some of our folks right there. Me over to the far left as you're looking at the screen, but the key folks you can see, it's quite a diverse and unique set of groups, but they come from government services. They're able to leverage their military. Some of them have military backgrounds, veterans, some have other government service. Their impressive cognitive abilities. One of my favorite stories is we were doing a program for Department for Homeland Security, and the guidance was if there was less than 20% of that object in the image, don't annotate it. And we had one that was pretty close, and our head of annotation, Mark Mejias, former Air Force vet who taught image analysis, was saying, if this is one as close, we would go to include it. And one of our annotators, just looking at the PowerPoint screen, said, nope, it's 17% of the car is in that image. We shouldn't annotate it. And we couldn't move past it. Well, we ended up having to measure it so we could continue with the meeting, and it was 17%. So that level of accuracy and cognitive strength is like a superpower for our team. We have cleared folks all the way up to the TSSCI level. Data scientists, our head of data science, who I'll introduce in the next one of the slides, has a significant background, lots of military family members, lots of veterans, but it's integrated. So it's not just persons with disabilities, it's an integrated employment of those persons with disabilities, those who are neurotypical or the like. And so we're at, right now, we're at 55%, excuse me, persons with disabilities on our employee base, and we'll never go below 40%. Give an example of an annotator. So Delante. Delante's he's one of the first annotators we hired over a year and a half ago. Was one of his neighbor veteran. He did cryptography. It was a cryptography tech for the Navy. Since retiring, he moved through a number of entry-level positions, but didn't have a lot of places that could support and work with his unique disabilities. But he joined over a year and a half ago. He's a full-time employee. All of our employees are full-time employees. And we've been really able to leverage his military subject matter expertise. And he's been a great annotator for us. He wanted me to stress, he's a crazy movie fanatic. We get to learn, we get to get all the details of what's coming out. But this is a typical sort of type of annotator that we have as part of our 15-person, now almost 20 people team. So why do customers use us? So here's another, this is some geo-intelligence labeled over a geo map that we did when we were annotating aviation assets. But what do? We're ultra accurate. We're very precise with our labels based on subject. It's very secure for data management and what we can do. It's tailored for AI methodology, and our team is very mission-driven in relation to the government. We know how to contract with the government. We do it quite well. We have sole source authority under the DFAR, so you can cite that and get sole source authority, although we've also won competitive contracts. We have a sponsored facility clearance. Our SCIF, we have secret collateral, TS collateral, and TSSCI that opens still under construction and going through its final certification, but opens in May. We meet IT security like CMMC and NIST standards, and we have existing prime contract vehicles. Very scalable team. So like I said, we have 20 plus employees. For a number of relationships we have with Melwood, Service Source, the Virginia Values Veterans Company. We already have a deep and ready trained bench of 40 additional annotators, including cleared folks, with national recruiting and training partners, including in Missouri and St. Louis, but we're based in Northern Virginia. And we already have an established onboarding training process so we can scale quite quickly to meet need. We are working with customers, so we're working with Air4L, the Air Force generically, at both Big Air Force. We have contracts with NGA, a 2-year phase 2 SBIR that can allow for phase 3. We have a CRADA also with NGA. We're working with other parts of the Department of Defense and the Space Force and Air Force. We have contracts with DHS and the Customs Border Protection, and we have contracts with the intelligence community. We also support a number of commercial partners, many of those who are providing data and analysis to the government. So you can see some of them here, like Maxar and Capella and Anduril. And we have a really, really good-looking team. The guy in the middle, I think, is the best because he's the baldest. But Lauren comes to us. She's our Chief People and Inclusion Officer. She came to us. She led all of veteran hiring and onboarding at Hilton Hotels. Miller is our head of data science. He just recently left Hopkins APL, led a lot of data science activities and model development for APL. I have a background started in the U.S. government, worked in the private sector, worked at SRI International, at Federal, ran a computer vision AI company, Incutel Portco, and now here. Mark Mejias is 15 years in the Air Force, image analyst, retired staff sergeant, and he trained Air Force and Marine folks on image analysis and annotation. And Scott's the money guy to make sure that we can pay our bills and pay our folks. And we have a lot of advisors from around the rubric. Steve Szynski, Lester is an IT and sort of data management expert. Steve Szynski is a venture and a new tech expert and teaches at Stanford Business School. Jenny Conroy is also local. She runs a organization that provides training, employment, and social skills development for the neurodiverse, starting in high school through college and the like. Jeannie Foster, Senior Intelligence Officer for multiple agencies, including the NGA. And you know, I'm very fortunate to have a really strong team of folks as our advisors. So that is enabled intelligence. I really appreciate the time. I hope I didn't speak too fast. I'm sorry I was the only one who didn't have a bow tie, but I'm really honored to be here, and it was a pleasure to be able to present our company to all of you. So I'll turn it back to Joey.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Peter. You had every bald man agreeing with you. You said the best because he's the baldest. So we appreciate that recognition. So thank you very much for joining us. And we are going to get to the end of our presentation by me turning it over to some of my colleagues who I very much admire. First up will be Abby Desjardins, who is our Acceleration Portfolio Director and Director of Research at NSIN. And then closing us out will be Jake Lactus, who is a regional director covering the St. Louis area and the DoD portfolio there. So thank you all very much for your time, and I'm happy to turn over to Abby after this break.
Hi, and thank you guys for sticking around. I know it's been a very fantastic but somewhat long day. So I will make some brief remarks, then as Joey mentioned, I'll pass it off to my colleague Jake. But as a refresher, I am the Acceleration Portfolio Director here at NSIN. We are a program office within the Department of Defense Research and Engineering with a mission to build networks of innovators to generate new solutions to national security problems. For those of you unfamiliar with NSIN, we have two distinct but intertwined functions. We have the regional network team and the programmatic team. The RNT, geographically spread across the United States, leverages a hub and spoke model. They are strategically placed around the United States, either in close proximity to the Department of Defense units, in emergent technology areas, or within universities who have the critical technology and talent that is needed to bring new insights and approaches to the Department of Defense problems. They are the face of NSIN across the United States to build the network and to act as a conduit, bringing to us on the programmatic side those critical DoD problems that we can then leverage our programs against. So on the programmatic side, we have 3 lines of programming that we offer via a portfolio structure. The National Service Portfolio creates pathways to inject new talent into the Department of Defense. The Collaboration Portfolio integrates new communities of problem solvers. And the Acceleration Portfolio, of which the STARTS program is one of our programs, works with, and in some cases develops, dual-use early stage ventures to address the capability gaps of the federal government. As I mentioned, NSIN exists to build networks of innovators, and this is based on a fundamental belief that we're in a complex, rapidly advancing world, and the rate of change and innovation within the Department of Defense and the federal government is no longer keeping pace with our adversaries. We believe that if we, the Department of Defense, want to maintain resilience, leverage emerging technologies, and solve problems differently, then we need to incorporate new problem solvers. We cannot rely on the innovation and leadership of just 1 or 2 demographics. We understand that diversity and inclusion is simply a way and a means to make the nation more competitive. Although all of our activities are focused into tapping into those communities of problem solvers that are typically out of reach by the department, sometimes it takes an additional intentional step, such as hosting a focused event such as this, to bring to bear some of those really great technologies and ideas. While I do not have a breakdown along the diversity, equity, and inclusion characteristics, I can tell you that these numbers do reflect the impact that we've had as a program office in diversifying, in the broad sense, the national security industrial base by working with the non-traditional problem solvers. We've worked with over 700 early stage dual use ventures who've gone on to secure over $620 million in DoD funding and over $680 million in private investment. And those are some new numbers that haven't yet been updated in these slides. I have spent personally a non-insignificant amount of time of my professional career in the last 20 years working with NGA on how to identify new technology and approaches. And I'm thrilled that we were able to assist them in bringing to light some of these amazing companies with technology that I know can be applied to the critical technology focus areas. We hope that this is not the end of their journey in doing business to support the national security mission. And we know that it will not be the last time that we'll be reaching out to this community to bring opportunities such as this and other opportunities to work and connect with other folks in the department and across the federal government who are looking for technologies such as these. If you'd like to learn more about NSIN, our mission, and how we can assist you, please feel free to reach out to me or reach out to your local R&T representative. The details of who those folks are can be found on our website, which is located at the bottom of this slide. And with that, I'm going to quickly turn it over to my colleague, Jake, and thank you all very much.
Awesome, thanks, Abby. So I'm Jake Lactus, I'm the Midwest Regional Director for NSIN, based here in St. Louis. So just in closing us out of a great event today, I just want to double down on some thank yous. So much gratitude to the NSIN program team, to Allie Gregg and Joey Clark, who just put so much effort into getting this together. And of course, to our NGA partners, Mike Fitzpatrick and Christine Woodard. And then of course, all our panelists and speakers today. I thought everyone came together really to make just such a great event. Also want to give a special thanks to the startups that participated. We at NSIN know that, every man hour is extra valuable at that early stage, and that, each company made an investment, taking the time to prepare and submit and speak. So, with the hope of engaging in a larger mission set for our country. So we appreciate that. I've had the pleasure of working with NGA in my NSIN capacity for about the last 2 years on building partnerships and with non-traditional entities for solving problem sets. And we've worked with academic and startup partners on everything from machine learning models to natural language processing and object ID. We've attacked important mission applications like port congestion and disaster response. And with all that said, most of NGA's innovation programming in the Midwest and elsewhere has centered around the core NGA problem that Alex Lair mentioned earlier, of helping to make sense of large amounts of data sets that comes in all shapes and sizes, and to scale up that capability to manage the growing influx of sensor data. So I'll say to, just from NGA leadership to NGA analysts, I'm continuously impressed by how forward-leaning and collaborative everyone on the NGA team has been, just especially showing a willingness to jump the hurdles to execute programs on the low side with partners that they wouldn't normally touch or engage. So through all this, now I certainly have a personal tie to the NGA mission set, at this point, which makes working with the people in the community in St. Louis all that much more fun and rewarding. So we've seen so many powerful impacts in our academic and startup partnerships that we've built. And as Dr. Carter and the panelists commented on, it's really about giving NGA the access and visibility to the best and brightest. And it starts right here in the St. Louis region. So given the momentum with NGA West and efforts like Moonshot Labs, there's just been a strong demand by NGA to connect with the conventionally untapped partners in the Midwest. And that expands out to, not just St. Louis, but the neighboring states and academic institutions, et cetera. So just so that we can set up our government mission partners to deploy talent and tech for a variety of challenges that we face. So all this is in the context of sort of operating, near term and tactically, so that we can achieve the long-term goal of building relationships that function and operate self-sufficiently in the long term. So just last point on the DEI component, the mission that NSIN is charged with under OSD is to, ultimately expose new and non-traditional networks of DoD stakeholders with problem sets. So the thing that's so cool about this event is that it takes it a step further by exposing economically disadvantaged groups, 8A and minority founders, et cetera. So it was just really cool to see, and I'm grateful for everyone willing to be a part of it. Really looking forward to seeing how we can support the participants in the future. So I think I'm the last in the docket today, so I'm not throwing it back over to Joey, but once again, thanks to everyone, and I look forward to the work ahead. Thank you.